Somehow our innocence is lost.
A little flat on innocence, but other than that, it was great. We'll go again. Huh?
One more time.
Somehow our...
That's my sound, man.
I love it. And her mom licked the asshole of a pig on Humble and Fred.
YOLO.
Combing the depths of the TMU for a quarterly review of fact checks, figures, and phrases that you didn't know you needed. It's FOTMCast with your hosts, Toronto Mike, Cam Gordon, and Tyler Campbell.
Friday night, you and your boys went out to eat. Then they hung out, but you came home around 3. If 6 of y'all went out, then 4 of you were really cheap. Yeah, 'cause only 2 of you had dinner. I found your credit card receipt. It's not right, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it anyway.
It's too good to fade down. It's a banger. Welcome to episode 1611 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today for FOTMcast, it's Cam Gordon and the VP of Sales, Tyler Campbell.
Hey now. Hey there.
Tyler, remind us why we open up our FOTM cast with this jam, this Whitney Houston. Is Whitney Houston an FOTM?
I don't think so, but maybe you can get her in spiritual form in some way.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. This is the Thunder Puss remix of this great Whitney jam. And Barry Harris had been on, I think, not long before our first FOTM cast, and I heard this, and I thought it'd be perfect.
And he's
I love
from
it.
CanCon. No, he's from
Con-Can.
I knew that. How are you two gentlemen going? Starting with you, Cam Gordon. How is your new year going?
Yeah, so far so good. Been back at work a couple days. Nothing major blowing up thus far in the communications world, so
Probably
and
a
you're
marked,
doing it wrong.
a marked difference from last year.
it was something like that.
Yeah.
But so far so good. Happy belated holidays to you both. I guess we hung out right before the holidays.
We did.
I feel like I did see you almost on Christmas Day.
Yeah, that was what day was that? Was that like
It's like the 22nd. Like it was like
so it was
right down to
before
the wire.
Festivus? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We met at Sugar Beach.
It was the day of Festivus.
I think
It
that's
was right.
right.
After you finished with Elvis.
Yeah, because you
I wrapped of Elvis, and I said I ran long of Elvis, and then I said I got to go meet the VP of Sales and Cam Gordon. We had to strategize this episode of FOTMcast, and we'll find out from Tyler in a moment what the hell FOTMcast is. But I got to say, I enjoyed those Great Lakes beers with you guys outside on a balmy December day at Sugar Beach. It was a fab time.
Well, I know you discussed this yesterday with Ed Keenan. I've already listened to that episode, but you do need to like invent reasons to enjoy the winter when you live in a climate such as ours. So I'm really glad we did that.
I said you're talking to a guy who we drank beers together, and it was probably, I don't know, -10.
It was cold.
With a wind chill.
Yeah.
And we were on
warm.
a beach drinking Great Lakes.
Had a great time.
It was a great
Canadians.
time. Yeah. Standing in front of a big steamship carrying sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah, getting sugar.
tons of sugar.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so on that note, can we crack
All right.
open? I know
Yes.
Tyler.
I've half cracked.
Okay, you
mine.
go first
All
then.
right.
And
It's
then
going to be disappointing. That's all right.
it's not bad.
Nope,
Half
nope.
cocked.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, Cam, you want to do it together?
I'm
drinking?
doing dry January, so
Get out of my
well,
basement.
I don't know.
Fine. All right, I'm cracking one.
All right.
sorry.
I'm doing wet January,
Yeah.
so I'll drink
Wettest
for the
of
two of us.
January.
Yeah.
Good for
Cheers.
you. God bless.
Why a dry Jan? I'm curious. I know I have a beer sponsor, but why a dry January?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the
Do you have a
internet
drinking
trend.
problem?
Do I have it? No. I don't know.
It's good
You're
to take
just-
a break.
I'm just like hibernating. Like I just plan hibernating this month. Really, this will be one of the few social activities I do all month. So
Is that right? Okay, and the
Yeah.
month just began. Okay, Tyler and I will be out there partying and
on
the
the
Mimico
beach.
New Toronto
Yeah.
border.
Yeah, you know it. That's what
we'll
we
meet
do.
on Dwight, and then we'll. So Tyler walked here, and he saw me and my 8-year-old daughter biking on Dwight.
I did.
about,
Yeah, I called out, but you were long gone.
We were long gone.
by the way, there was like a roaming stray German Shepherd on your street. Did
It's
you
probably
see
a
this?
coyote.
It was probably a coyote.
Yeah.
No.
why?
This was a German Shepherd. Yeah.
Are you sure? I don't know whose German Shepherd it is.
I
but,
don't
A lot
know.
of times I've been told there was a dog on the street, and it was definitely a coyote.
Yeah, there
so
are
are you sure?
coyotes.
Yeah. This
roaming.
was definitely a dog, but yeah, I was a little worried.
Okay, well, fear not. German
I made
Shepherds
it.
are friendly animals, I think.
Are
But,
they?
those coyotes, I don't know. Be careful. But I give them their space. But okay, so Tyler, set everything up. I want to know how your New Year's going, but
Yep.
then I want you to remind the newbies. I don't know, somebody stumbled upon their first FOTM cast.
Yeah.
They're like, what is this thing?
Sure.
You can set the table again. What the hell is this FOTM cast we do every quarter? And for the dummies out there, every quarter means every 3 months.
That's right. So, yeah, FOTMcast. For anyone who is new to this, listening to their first FOTMcast, I'm sorry, first of all. But this is our recap, our quarterly recap of everything that happened on the Toronto Mic'd podcast in the previous quarter.
It's very meta.
It is. This is covering Q4 of 2024, so from October to December
2024, right?
2024.
And that's only like typically, I think, because Cam's got an aggressive vacation schedule or whatnot. We've been like, it's been like 10 days into the month.
Yeah, this is the
Yes.
earliest we've done it.
And I
This is
hated
good.
it being so distant because lots would happen in that week. That was the next quarter. We couldn't really talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
then I said, let's get it closer to the end of the quarter. And this quarter only ended on, I want to say that was Tuesday night.
Yeah, I do like we're bunched up with Ed Keenan.
Yeah.
Because I know we're all fans of his appearances down here in the basement. So I do like those. And quite often we can have low reactions to Ed.
Yeah, you guys
He always has great
literally,
appearance.
yeah, because the way it works is you're both recurring events early in the quarter, so you can often be 1 day apart, 2 days apart. Maybe you'll be the same day.
You can
one
set
day.
your watch as shit, man.
Maybe we'll do it together.
Oh, that would be a
That'd be
massive
cool.
event.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
And Ed
Yeah.
Keenan.
I don't think I've ever met him.
You've
Seems
never met
like
Ed
a good
Keenan.
guy.
I've never
No.
met.
That's shocking to me.
Yeah.
You too?
Never met him.
I'm gonna see if I can get him to a TMLX event in 2025.
Yeah, that'd be
Get
great.
Ed
He'd be a
Keenan.
popular
I did go to his
guest.
50th birthday party, so I feel I can drag him.
You're
to the
in.
event.
You're on the inside with Keenan.
Good
Oh,
dude.
He is a good guy, and we always have a good chat. He does a good Macho Man impression.
He does. He really does.
Top notch.
Yeah. I didn't love it. I didn't really think it sounded like
Well, be
Not to be all
honest here.
too judgy.
That's one thing about these FOT. I don't want bullshit. I don't
Yeah.
want you guys to come in here and blow smoke up
It was
my bum.
fine.
It's
He-
passable. Like it's. I enjoy it.
Who's the
It's
guy who
entertaining.
does
Scott
the really good
MacArthur.
one? Scott MacArthur.
So
Yeah.
Scotty
His is
Mac,
like bang on.
Yeah.
Who lives near? He lives in Nova Scotia, I believe.
Yeah.
And he seems very happy to be out of the like mainstream media. Like he seems delighted by that. Although
Yeah.
he recently quit the podcast he started with Richard Griffin. So
Like
this is all FOTM.
Yeah,
cast,
kind of like
okay.
overnight. Like he
I think he was sick of following that shitty team.
Yeah,
like,
don't
and I
blame
wouldn't.
him.
You
Yeah.
couldn't pay me enough to follow. I guess you could pay me enough, but it'd be a lot of money and a lot more than they were making for that podcast. You'd have to follow the intrinsities of. I know Stu Stone. We'll talk. This was a quarter 4 episode of 2024. He's always defending his dear friend Ross
Atkins.
But I mean, the team was shitty last year, and I'm gonna tell you, I think they may be worse this
Hey,
year.
they brought back Jimmy Garcia, so I think things are looking up.
And if you're a big Vladdy guy, and I know there's a lot listening, I got a Vladdy doll over here. Like, don't get too attached to this guy. I don't trust him to stick around with Shatkins running the show. But this is all here and there, and I would just say that Ed Keenan's Macho Man is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Among the
Give it a
FOTMs,
shot.
it's among the best.
Solid 6 out of 10.
Second best, although Stu does a good Macho Man, right? Does he?
I
feel like he's done a Macho Man.
Yeah.
So here's the thing for 2025. You're going to have a little Macho Man off. You're going to get Stu. You're going to get Ed Keenan. You're going to get Scotty Mac.
Make sure I do it, though, because sometimes we have these I noticed we'll have great ideas.
Yeah.
And on the show, I'm sold. We're going to do that. And then I forget it ever happened.
Oh, by the way, I mentioned this in our group chat. Were you guys familiar with Norman Da Costa?
I remember I remember him.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember when, it was hard to find any wrestling info. Those weekly recaps were just incredible, just for the latest
are you
wrestling
willing to
news.
share? Like, I know this from another channel. There's an FOTM group on WhatsApp where I learned this, but are you willing to share how your friends would have fun with Norman Da Costa?
Yeah. So they would actually, and this was before I knew these guys, but this would have been the late 80s. They would actually, I guess, call the Toronto Star, ask to speak to Norman. I guess either speak to him or leave a voicemail with these false tips about various happenings.
Right.
And
okay, you finish your story. And
speaking of the Macho Man, this is incredible. They actually called in that Miss Elizabeth was pregnant, which never happened. And not only did he write about this in the Toronto Star, that was the headline of his column that week.
I saw that.
And his appearance at the Maple Leaf Gardens would be her final appearance before she
but think about
enjoyed
this.
motherhood.
You know how you're supposed to corroborate these, you're supposed to get another source. You're married to a journalist, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, like if she got
Fact
a note,
check.
let's say she gets some note from somebody she knows. Let's say she knows this person and even trusts this person.
Right.
She can't publish that on CBC's website or wherever she works. I have no idea. She can't publish it, for example.
Sure.
She can't publish it until she gets another source, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
so imagine she doesn't know the person and doesn't trust the person because it's just a phone call out of the blue. This is the Toronto Star. Norman Da Costa is printing.
Yeah, like
these lies
literally the biggest by circulation. I think the biggest newspaper, like this
no
crap, Miss
journalistic
Elizabeth.
Standards.
Yeah. And
Not for wrestling.
Disgusted by this.
And I don't know if it's that same column, but also like Matilda the Bulldog had died, and I do. He also suggested Damien the Python went down the toilet.
Down the toilet.
In Toronto,
right? Which I'm not sure that's true, but I do remember
it's like Frank Magazine over here.
I do remember Jake the Snake ran into some issues with I don't know if it's like PETA or like the SPCA or something about just like the use of animals and this sort of thing. I'm not surprised because like if you recall, like the snake was just in the burlap bag.
Do I recall? That's my heyday, man. I remember. And then he'd put a DDT was his move, right?
Yeah.
And then the opposition, I don't know, the guy he was wrestling would be unconscious.
Exactly.
And he'd get Damien and put Damien like on the guy.
Yeah.
And Damien, by the way, was a giant snake.
Yeah, like a python. And
you can't flush that down a toilet.
Yeah.
Right? They don't make that's like Andre the Giant style toilets.
And anyway, final piece for the WrestleCast, but just to tie a bow on this. Do you remember when he's feuding with Macho Man Randy Savage and he brought out a cobra? And he was actually like biting Savage's arm.
I do have memories of this. This is my wheelhouse.
Like that clip, and I've watched it many times on YouTube over the years.
Right.
It's like a fever dream. It's like literally a cobra biting the Macho Man's arm, and Randy's like tied in the ropes, like
Okay, so to put a bow on this before I say hi to some people in the live stream, including somebody we've already referenced in this episode, a very exciting rare appearance from somebody who's joining us remotely from DC. I'm sure that means Washington.
I was going to say the nation's capital, but
That's
the other nation. Well, it could be our nation soon enough.
No, it could be our capital.
Night
soon.
is young. Yes.
Stay tuned. Ed's got me all warmed up. Every quarter I'll find out what's going on there. But to put a bow on this, so we learned that from Cam Gordon that a friend of his would call up the Toronto Star's Norman Da Costa with fictional wrestling stories.
Yeah, like these are all works.
Would print them in the Toronto Star, Canada's most circulated newspaper, and it would it would just be printed as fact. Miss Elizabeth is pregnant. The snake Damien was flushed down a toilet in Toronto.
Yeah. Matilda the Bulldog is dead.
from the British Bulldogs. Right?
Yeah. We didn't have this column, but the mysterious newcomer in the WWF called the Lion. Do you guys remember the Lion?
I don't remember the Lion.
No, because he didn't fucking exist. So ostensibly the Lion was Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff under a mask. I guess like a lion mask, kind of like a tiger mask.
You still friends with this guy?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of awesome. Tell him kudos to him. That's amazing.
He was at strangely you guys have met this guy. He's been at some of Stu's premieres. I won't mention his name because the statute of limitations is not up. I wish.
Is that a crime to feed journalists bad information? I don't know.
It's not a crime.
It's not. Okay. All right, so let's run this down, and then we got a lot to cover here.
So much to
But
cover.
Neil Jays says Randy Savage sold that Cobra Bite well. Scared that young wrestling fan. It scared all of us. So hello to Neil Jays. And Jeremy Hopkins says, Miss Elizabeth, a long-distance crush for many a kid of our generation. Indeed. Absolutely, right,
Yeah.
Tyler?
Oh, absolutely.
She was classy, too.
She was.
Very classy.
Big time. She was classy, like the rich chick in Gilligan's Island.
There's the whole triangle with George the Animal Steel for a while there.
Yeah.
George right here. Okay, shout out
Absolutely.
to Stu Stone. Okay. MF says hi from DC.
Yeah, big Miss
That's
Elizabeth
big.
fan. Yeah.
That's big. Okay. What if she knows what we're talking about? She's already tuned out.
I don't even know if she would know the Macho Man. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, let us know, MF, if you know the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
The M
Don't
in MF
Google it.
stands for Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah, Randy Potho. He's
Well, come on,
Lenny
shout out to
Potho's
Ridley
brother.
Funeral Home. She's no longer with us. But YYZ Gord says, hey there, FOTMs and Midtown Gord. All the Gords are here.
Hello
He
to the
says,
Gords.
good evening. A good crowd at live.torontomike.com for this FOTMcast. And Tyler explained it well. We basically rehash what happened in the TMU, that's Toronto Mike universe, over the past quarter, which is the fourth quarter of 2024. So October 1 through New Year's Eve 2024.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Big quarter.
Big quarter.
Huge.
And Tyler does a lot of work with stingers and such, and I never know when I'm supposed to hit a stinger. So we're all doing well. No news to report. No news is good news.
Yeah.
You
We're
guys
great.
look great. I know
feel great.
Tyler says he's been deathly ill for a couple of
I
months.
have. Yeah, I've been sick for about 2 months. My ribs hurt from coughing so much. But
geez.
Well, that's not
otherwise,
good. I just hope it's not contagious.
You sound
Yeah.
good, though.
Thank you.
Well, he's got the best pipes of like the entire TMU.
Absolutely.
Like I don't know who else has as good a pipes as Tyler. Campbell.
There's some great pipes out there for sure.
And you were, because I got one of the episodes that dropped in this last quarter, and I never know what you're going to talk about, so I should wait till you finish your thing.
No.
Was the surprise Rob Pruce Christmas thing, and you're the first voice I heard on that, and it was
Yeah.
like the voice of God coming through, because I didn't know this was happening, and it was like a audio Christmas card
Yeah.
from the great prodigy. He was a prodigy.
He was.
Rob Pruce.
We're lucky to have him.
You know what?
Yeah.
We really are. Get out of here.
Super
sweetheart.
I'm
talented.
replacing this son of a bitch in this dry January with Rob Pruce.
Rob will come in here and
But
drink
you're
a
the,
six-pack.
you're the first voice I heard on that, and it was
That's right.
like, oh my God, like God's here.
It was great that Rob did that, and again, just another opportunity for us to express our love for you, Toronto Mike.
Wow, I can't get enough of that. You know that. Okay, so thank you, Great Lakes. This beer is delicious. Cam, you're missing out. Tyler,
Next
how's
time.
your beer?
Next time.
It's delicious. It's the perfect temperature, I would say. I think Mike Lackey would be pleased with your service of his beer.
Is it cold or is it room temperature?
It's cool, I would say, which for this lager I think is quite quite lovely.
It came out of the fridge. I'm worried if my fridge is broken.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And is that okay? You got the light one.
Oh, is this the light lager?
So
Well, good.
that's Monica's favorite, and that's why it's in the beer at
Well,
all
then I can
times.
have twice as many.
You can go nuts on that. Okay, let's get going. Another fun fact for the listenership, the FOTMs listening to this FOTM cast for the fourth quarter of 2024, is that for the first time, I have connected Tyler's laptop to the board, and I fully opened the channel.
This is dangerous.
So I did hear a ding earlier.
Yeah,
was that an email coming in?
It was me. I closed my
Okay.
email.
So if you hear dings and alarms and bells and whistles,
It's my fault.
that ain't me, okay? Because
Yeah.
it's open. This channel belongs to Tyler. So at any time you can play anything you want.
I will. I'm
and
gonna
it's
play.
Gonna go live at
I'm gonna go
live.torontomike.com.
fucking bananas here.
Okay, so I will let you drain your swamp
Oh, yeah.
before I even say anything because I don't want to trample on anything. But take
Swamp
it away,
is full.
Tyler.
The swamp is full. We're gonna drain it. 2024. What a year it was. Let's do a quick wrap on the year to start with. You did drop a final ep of the year on New Year's Eve, sort of like the wrapped for the year.
Yeah, a little something.
Yeah. So you talked about some of this stuff, but it was a big year, 2024. So I just wanted to enter this into the FOTMcast record. You turned 50, obviously, in 2024.
That did happen.
So did I. We both did that this year.
Well, congrats,
This
buddy.
past year.
We made it.
You got a kayak for your birthday.
You know what?
That's
Love
big.
that fucking kayak.
Yeah. You mentioned that kayak on 34 episodes, by the way.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that true?
It is true. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It should have been more.
It probably should have been more.
What percentage of episodes is that? But
I-
like post kayak.
post receipt of kayak.
Is this
No, there's some
I
mic
feel like I'm like
adjustments happening.
fidgeting with it.
No, I thought maybe you were losing your erection, so I wanted to. You know what I
On the
mean?
main chair.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Heyo.
Of course.
For the show,
It's body talk.
207 eps dropped in 2024.
I gotta kind of process this. I never
Yeah.
know what these fucking numbers mean.
That's
Okay,
wild.
so there's 365 days in
That's
a
right.
year, and there were over 200 episodes.
207 eps. It was the third
Too
most.
much, right? It's too much. Be
I
honest.
mean,
It's a lot.
it's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
So slow your fucking roll.
If you want. If you
I
want.
should, right?
Well, you said that
I'm looking for a sign from
kayak,
God.
The kayak is going to slow you down in Q3.
Well, it did a
Q2,
shitty job of
Q3.
doing that in 2020.
Well, you're gonna go harder
Okay, well,
on it this year.
I was
think
actually
it's fine.
thinking about this. Okay, now it's fine. I can never read this tall drink of water over here. Oh, he's drinking coffee, everybody.
Yeah.
I often think about how many eps I should record because I feel like if I had some rich person say like, here is money, you just do Toronto Mic'd right now.
Yeah.
I might be dropping 6 episodes a week.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
I have a lot of ideas and things I want to do.
Well, you do it because you love it. It's not a job, right? Like it's.
And I'm still going to bike 15,000
Sure.
kilometers in 2025. And I'm still going to kayak, once a week or whatever, get out there.
I'd say you're more enthusiastic about this whole thing, all this shit down here than you ever have been.
Yeah.
So is that not a sign to just keep going while
Yeah.
while you can?
Yeah,
you
but
know?
I gotta make some money, right? Like it's about how many
Right.
episodes how much time can I afford to put towards Toronto Mic'd?
Right.
So I actually, and maybe you're talking me out of it right now, but I was actually thinking I did too much in the fourth quarter of 2024, and I should focus on two episodes where I like have conversations with people, 2 a week,
Yeah.
and then maybe a third that is something different. Maybe it's a remembering David Farrell, or maybe it is the fall of '87,
Yeah.
or maybe it's
I feel like we've had this conversation at least 6 times.
Yeah,
just
a very special episode of.
But I
Fill in
need
the
you
blank.
to tell me, yes, like something, or somebody passed away and there's a memorial thing or whatever. But I don't know the answer here. Like, should I keep going?
Does it feel to you like it's too much? Is the question.
I'm thinking, well, not for me, but I'm worried now. Like,
It's like a therapy session.
It's like I'll hear from a diehard fan. I'll
Yeah.
hear from a guy who's attended all 17 TMLX events.
Yeah.
There's only one guy
Yeah, don't
not
listen to
named
him.
Mike. Oh, he is named Mike. That's fucked up. Okay, so Michael Lang. Don't
Yeah,
listen to him.
Sure.
He's like, I don't know, 9 months to a year behind.
He's a completionist.
But he listens to every episode, but he's way behind.
Yeah.
How does he catch up?
That's his problem.
I guess that is his problem.
Yeah.
So I should stop giving a rat's ass about the listener. Like I should, if I'm happy, whatever.
I think so. I think you're doing what you
what do you say,
love.
Cam?
Yeah.
'cause
I also think you have a different type of listener. You have the completist, like Langer. Like you have people like me. I've told you I don't listen to every single episode, but
you son of a bitch.
the ones that I do deeply resonate with me. We'll discuss them. Sometimes I'll go on Wikipedia. I'll make updates. I'll try to do a bit of
Like,
archiving.
You don't listen to every episode. When you listen hard.
Exactly.
But what episodes are you
Exactly.
skipping? So I know to do
To
less
do more
of
of
those.
Oh, like all sorts. Like to be honest, because again, like you record like 200 episodes a year, and also like some of my listening's a bit seasonal. Like when it comes around like NBA trade deadline, I find I listen to like a lot of NBA podcasts, or if there's election, maybe some more like political stuff. But no,
Yeah, but I was
just
wondering,
keep doing what you're doing.
okay, so keep doing what I'm doing, but maybe I could slow my roll a little bit.
So
Just depends.
It depends. So I think what I would say is that you are painting a picture of Toronto, of Canada to a lesser extent, maybe. And there are so many different threads that you pull on, and then you're like, oh, well, this guy did this, so then I got to talk to these two people.
that's
right?
what happens.
So that you're telling
get
that story, you're filling in that picture.
Yeah.
This happened with the Garys in the fourth
Exactly.
quarter.
Yeah, well, think of the David Farrell episode, like, really for a certain generation, for a certain audience, a really important figure in Canadian music history, but completely obscure from like from an SEO perspective. Sure, you'll find some like Billboard articles, FY Music News, but has the story of David Farrell ever been told anywhere aside from that,
No.
that podcast you did with those 3 gentlemen?
Yeah.
And if you're not going to do it, you have those 3 guys from GA on.
That's right.
I can't even like update Wikipedia based on that because there's not enough like other sources. But again,
And why do you think the episode happened? Because you told me,
Right.
do you want to meet MF and I? at the Geary Art Crawl
Absolutely.
near the Galleria Mall.
Yeah.
Remind me to show you my brick. It's behind me.
I do want to see that brick.
It's
actually.
a brick and okay. But then I'm like, I'm literally ignorant. Like I'm like, what the heck is Guh? And then we see Guh, and Guh sees us, and a member of Guh says, "We saw you."
There
and
you
next
go.
thing you know, I'm like, well, let's do a Guh episode.
Yeah, but then you interview them, and like it really fits seamlessly with all sorts of people. You know, there's a bit overlap with like Rusty, and there's a bit overlap with Johnny Dovercourt. Very, very nice.
Okay, pass that over.
It is kind of like a.
So that's from the Galleria Mall.
That's beautiful.
That's
Wonder how many people have walked on this.
Is that a floor tile? Is that confirmed?
Well, it looks like a floor, but it could be a
Because
wall
I was
tile.
told it might be a wall tile.
Oh, yeah. Who knows?
Wall of the Galleria Mall.
It's a beautiful tile.
Thank you.
Anyway, the point is a couple of things, Mike. One, this is important content that if you're not doing it, this is just gonna like fade away.
Mm-hmm.
And a second thing, and not to sort of kill, what was to say, bury the lead here. But when I went back, I looked at every episode you did this year and tried to pick out a favorite, and there's many favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But one that really stood out for me, this was episode 1544, the definitive Much Music origin story.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something we've talked about at length this year with, the Much Music documentary and this CF&Y documentary that may or may not ever see the light of day, and all these other things, people writing books, people doing websites, people writing articles, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But in my opinion, at least for your audience, I think it's like the definitive Much Music origin story. That's where you're really going to find the deep cuts for people that still care about this stuff. And I think it's a
one of my
huge
favorite episodes of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And, for your audience,
Scratching that itch.
yeah, exactly.
Let's go deeper than we've ever gone before.
Absolutely.
And there's only one man I could think of who could help me go on that journey.
Who's that?
An FOTM Hall of Famer named Ed Conroy.
He's the man.
Of course.
Yeah, it was great to hear him back on the show so many times.
All right, so an update. MF.
Moses defender.
The Moses, well, he knows where his bread is buttered.
God bless.
It's sort of like Gare Joyce and Luke Sellers, right? Okay, so MF says, not familiar with Macho Man.
I'll show her a photo. I bet you would recognize him.
Okay.
Jeremy Hopkin has listened to 366 episodes of Toronto Mike this year.
Wow.
I think he's saying you should do 366.
Well,
that's what he's saying. Okay, I can't read it.
In 2024.
But YYZ Gord here, and then we'll move on. But YYZ Gord says, it is hard to keep up as a completist at the current rate, but he's managed to keep up. So bless you, YYZ Gord. I like that guy.
Another
He's a
good
good
dude.
man.
Yeah, back from Antarctica.
He's the only guy who travels more than Cam Gordon.
It's wild. I don't travel that much. I mean, he really travels.
Yeah.
I think he's far afield.
Absolutely.
All right. So just to put a bow on 2024.
200 plus episodes.
207
That's fucking
episodes.
wild.
That's the third most episodes of any year. So
Only the third.
yeah,
Jeez.
2023 you had 223 episodes, and 2020 you had 216 episodes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I think I did a lot of Zooms in 2020.
Yeah.
I think if I did Zooms, I would have so many episodes.
You don't want the Zooms.
Okay.
There is one Zoom that stood out to me that was great this year, but we'll get to that later. You moderated a panel that we sort of alluded to in 2024, the Gary Top panel.
You were there.
I was there.
It was great to see you there.
A fantastic day, and you did a great job.
Oh, thank you, man.
Chatting with
And
those
that became an
gentlemen.
episode. I finally got
It did.
the audio.
Yeah, no, it was a great day, and you were on point as the moderator. You kept the discussion moving.
Told those boomers to put the mic to their mouth. Sometimes they'd have it down here,
Yeah.
and they'd start talking, and I'd be like, I can hear you, but they can't hear you.
Yeah.
You got to put that
You
thing
think
to
these
your
are
mouth.
like music industry people.
Oh,
you
sorry.
think they would know.
There was
Yeah,
a lot of
stuff
that,
works.
actually. My gesture. But can I just shout out that Tobias Vaughn was there? It
He was
good to see
there.
him. And Rob Pruce
Robbie
was there.
Pruce was
and
there.
a whole whack of guests were there. It was wild.
Yeah, there were a lot of FOTMs in the crowd. It was good.
Yeah, no, I was. I did that for the. For my invoice for that was $0.00.
There you go.
But you got the exposure, which is
I
what it's
enjoyed
all
it.
about.
I enjoyed it, which is all that matters.
You had some major gets in 2024. We've talked about them on.
So you're doing the whole year.
Well, I'm not. I just have a couple things for 2024.
Okay.
Then we'll get into Q4. But
You're the
just some
boss.
major gets. Ben Johnson.
Oh, that was my
Huge.
favorite visitor of the year.
That was a fantastic episode. It was probably my favorite episode of the year as well.
I can't believe he sat right there, and
He did.
we did a long
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
And although Mary was sitting there, I felt like I could ask Ben anything.
Yeah, you
It's
that was
open book.
a really, really good
And I like the
conversation.
guy. Like
Yeah.
I legit like the guy.
He's really funny.
Yeah, he's sneaky funny.
Yeah.
And then I still remember, back in the day, he had a stuttering issue.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Ben Johnson, you'd hear him talk in the late 80s and he'd have a stutter.
Yeah.
And I sit down with him for 90 minutes, one-on-one, unedited. I didn't hear a single stutter.
No
I
hint of a
stuttered
stutter.
way more than Ben.
You probably stuttered a lot when he talked about killing his enemies.
There was many takeaways, but something that really stuck with me, the fact that he's just like slamming beers after like he ran that.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like how athletics have changed. Like I feel like, you know, Usain Bolt or whoever, you know, they're
Probably not.
Probably not like downing a few buds after the 100 yards. So,
Hey, so Jeremy Hopkins was on the live stream for Ben Johnson and he says, thought he was going to leave. So Jeremy,
You almost lost
when
him.
did you think, because I can't remember when I was almost lost.
there was a moment where you were kind of questioning him because he had a couple of conspiracy
Is it
theories.
the Mazda thing?
There was
right.
the Adidas.
Because
yeah.
he was with a Diora.
Diodora.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the obscure.
They didn't want him to win.
Well, he was going into nonsense land, and I felt like I should
Yeah,
not
so you
let him
challenged
do
it.
that. So I
He challenged it, and he was a little. He
I
was
looked
getting a little
at Cam.
testy.
When Cam gives me that nod, I know I did good.
It's like a PR person.
Yeah. So yeah, that was great. Some sports heroes. Wendell Clark,
Oh my
our
God.
captain.
You know,
my God.
twice. Yeah.
But never in the basement.
never in the
Crazy.
basement.
But
One day.
always live.
Yeah.
None
Yeah.
of the Zoom bullshit.
Joe Carter, of course, at the Joe Carter
Can
Classic.
you believe
Oh my
it?
God.
Yeah.
You know, I know Ricky Henderson hit that home run, but Joe was there, right?
Yeah.
He was in the building at least, stuck in an elevator.
Joe had something to do with it,
yeah.
but Ricky gets the credit.
Yeah.
Honestly, we said this before. Like leaping Joe Carter. Why is that not the fucking statue?
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's an iconic
You mean versus
silhouette.
Ted Rogers? You're
The best
you
is
know,
yet
My
to come.
former employer. Yeah.
I mean, you've heard my Fergie Oliver episode, not this year, but
No.
I said we should. I said that. I think I said that exact thing. It should be Joe Carter leaping in the air, and he said, "You're goddamn right."
That's one of many enthusiastic.
So
bullet
Ben's
points.
my episode of this year, and then
Yeah.
whatever year that Fergie Oliver one, that's my episode of that year.
Yes.
Even though
That
I
was-
still get hate mail about it.
Do you really?
Yeah. I'm platforming pedophiles.
Oh well, you know.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah, I can.
There's
I'll
some,
screen cap you some.
Some
Absolutely.
dedicated pedophile finders out there.
That's like effed up, really.
Along with Joe, you had the bringer of rain, Josh Donaldson.
Yeah,
Briefly.
but he did
Momentarily.
it. He did it.
It's
Yeah.
a little frosty.
Yeah.
He was a little fuzzy, but so was Joey Bats. That's coming next. Right?
Yeah.
Joey Bats.
Yeah.
was
Joey
on.
Bats.
Yeah.
It
Classic.
worked out.
Amazing that you got those guys and Tom Cochran that day as well.
Right. That was the big leagues, man.
Tom Cochran's got to be in the basement in 2025, right?
Yeah.
We've been working on it
Yeah.
for years here. You know, it was a fun story. I can share this. Rob Del Mundo, plug your ears for like 1 minute, okay? I love Rob Del Mundo. I want to put that on the
we
record.
all do.
Yeah.
We all
FOTM
do.
Rob Del Mundo was in the basement this past quarter. But so Cam and I are at the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
No, it was you and I. I was there.
Sorry. Tyler. It was Tyler.
Yeah.
I remember now. I remember that beard against my face.
Tomato,
Okay.
tomato.
Tyler Campbell and I were at the. I'll fix that in post.
That's okay.
Tyler Campbell and I were at the Songwriters Hall of Fame at the Massey Hall, and it opens a cold open with Tom Cochran doing something from Red Rider. What was he
Lunatic
doing?
Fringe.
Lunatic Fringe,
Yeah.
which is a great fucking song.
Great
It's
song.
like a Pink Floyd song.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
progressive. It's very cool. And so we're seeing this, and then at the intermission we bump into the great Rob Del Mundo, and Rob had worse seats than we had.
Yeah, he was up in the nosebleeds.
And he said,
Nosebleeds.
"Who was doing that cover of Lunatic Fringe?"
Oh
That
my
was his
God.
question.
Well, and
And then
Wow.
we go, well, that cover was pretty fucking good because it was by the guy who wrote and sang the song. That was Tom Cochran, and he, from his vantage point,
yeah,
he couldn't.
You
tell.
said, "How bad are your seats, Rob?"
"Yeah." I said,
Did he
"How
look?
bad are these
Did he
seats?"
look different or?
Well, no, he looked like Tom Cochran.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Where does he live? Like he's not in.
I think he's
Toronto,
here
is he?
now. Isn't
Is
he
he?
nearby?
I thought he lived in Oakville,
Okay, well, GTA. I think.
Yeah.
He's from Manitoba.
Yeah.
I feel like.
but I thought he also had a place in BC or something. I don't know. He's
I don't know.
He's
He
He has a-
everywhere.
he has
He's a
Billboard Hot
rambler.
100
He's a
hits,
rambler.
so he's all over the place.
Life is a highway. He
All right,
just
let's
wants to
get
ride
him in the
it.
All right.
basement. Let's do that.
Yes, that has to
VP.
happen this year. Okay.
And I'll stop.
Is he an
confusing-
Alper guy?
No.
His representation.
Otherwise, he would have been here already.
Right. Right.
Alper
That was
would've
Gino
driven him.
Vanelli.
Yeah. All right. So that's 2024. I just wanted to do a quick little recap
Okay, I
on
enjoyed that. So,
Um,
what was your favorite episode of 2024, Cam?
Well, again, there were many. It was the
MF
definitive.
came on the mic at Christy Pitt.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was a
big
huge
one.
get.
That was huge.
That was
Yeah, and Ruth Kapelis.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. And she was at your wedding.
She was. I actually saw her on Christmas Day. She was a guest of the Gordon family up in
delightful.
Newmarket.
Yeah, I see her on Blue Sky.
Yeah, I like Ruth. I met her briefly in January, and we've been like social media
at the
pals for the
West
rest of the
End
year.
Phoenix.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know who hasn't? I don't think Sarah Harmer is in the calendar.
What? You got to get.
Oh, right.
Is she?
Right.
Or she's
Well,
gonna,
her PR person reached out to you.
But then what? I don't think I have to check during your ramble here.
All
I'll
right.
go search.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
Gmail calendar.
Please get that done.
Okay. Sarah Harmer. Okay, I'm gonna do that right now.
Okay. While you do that, did you finish talking about your favorite? episode?
Well, again, just to loop back again, so the definitive Much Music origin story is sort of, but honestly, I could have chosen many. There are many favorites.
It was a great year.
yeah,
I would
another
say.
great year.
Yeah.
Another great year.
I love these episodes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into Q4 now.
She's not in my calendar.
All right. Well, let's make that happen. All right. Q4.
Sorry, the Just Like Mom theme.
Remember, whatever Tyler plays on that laptop is going to be on the
It
show,
is.
and we won't know
Right,
until we
right,
hear it.
right,
and I
right.
don't know either.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's exciting for me.
All right. Q4.
Monica's
53.
in Florida. That's
Oh,
what's
God.
going
So
on.
the kids are
Nice.
upstairs
They're all
running wild.
Running amok.
running
Yeah.
wild. It's unbelievable.
53 eps in Q4. It was the second busiest quarter of the year. 55 guests on those 53 episodes, including 19 first-timers.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. There was a big milestone this quarter that I think kind of flew under the radar. Elvis joined the 50-timer club.
Wow.
Huge.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about I passed Mark Maron.
Well, we'll get to
Oh,
that
okay,
as
we'll
well.
get to that.
We'll get to that
Okay.
as well. But yeah, Elvis joined the 50-timer club. An interesting anomaly is that he is the only non-Hall of Famer in the 50-timer club.
Wow, because
Yeah.
he doesn't listen. He'll never
Wow.
get in the
Say.
Hall of Fame. He's
Yeah.
like
There you
Pete
go.
Rose. He's too stubborn to get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was
Shout
a
out
great
to
episode. I'd actually never listened to Festivus episode before. It was a real revelation.
All right,
It's
so
a really good
let
listen.
me blow
yeah.
your mind. So he's done 50 episodes.
Yeah.
That was my favorite Elvis episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
out
was
of all
great.
50, and it's because he was so authentic and real.
It's very vulnerable.
And I he did
vulnerable.
like I didn't see it coming because all we talked beforehand. I said we're bringing Festivus back to its roots. We're going to do it like Your Blog Sucks, which was a 10-episode series we did 100 years ago that no one listened to.
Precursor to the worst podcast.
Right. Well, we'll get to that.
Get to that.
So
sure.
I said, okay, bring 5 grievances and I'll bring 5. So I'm writing my grievances are like,
Petty.
ripping up bike lanes and having to wear glasses now, which I'm wearing right now. Like that's the kind of
Right.
shit I'm coming up with. And then he sends me a song and I didn't listen because he just said, load this up. I'm going to call for it or whatever. So I loaded it up. I've loaded up songs for you today. I don't know. Maybe you'll do the same thing. So I've got the song. I guess, I don't know if he said play the song and then he explained, I can't remember what order it was in, but he completely just was so raw and authentic, and it was so beautiful when he talked about the passing of his father and how this song resonated with him and he was thinking about saying goodbye to his dad. Heart-wrenching stuff. Like that's what I'm looking for. That is the real stuff I'm looking for, and Elvis delivered it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when he's telling people to go fuck themselves, and the next he's literally openly
Yeah.
weeping on the
And
microphone.
then you're reeling from that and recovering from that, and he wasn't done yet. Like there was what was his final grievance?
Well, his friend passed away.
Oh yeah, his friend from work for
Yeah.
13
Oh,
years
right.
died of cancer.
His work
Yeah.
wife.
And basically these 2 moments were like, to me, like the reason I can't listen to fucking Smartless is because there's 0 of that.
Right.
Like that, there's none of that. It's like I'd rather hear Elvis, who, let's face it, not a famous person. Do we agree on that?
I would
Even
agree
though
with
he
that.
was on Western radio, broadcasting Western football games.
Famous in Oshawa.
Yeah.
Elvis is not a famous person. I met him because he was a recruiter who put me into the porno industry
There you
back
go.
in 2005. That's a true story, MF. I'll tell you later. But not a famous guy, but we do Festivus. It's like a tradition or whatever. And to me, he delivered more than most celebrities who come into this space. But in fact, it was just the greatest Elvis episode ever. And I was blown away by the raw emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd written something I was going to say a little bit later about Elvis, but
I didn't know.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
You got to tell us to hold it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine because we were talking about Elvis. I just wanted to give him a big shout out. It sounded like he had a rough year in 2024. So I just want to say to him that, I'm rooting for him. I don't know him well at all. I've met him at a handful of TMLX events. But every time I've chatted with him, I've gotten the sense that he's a really sweet, big-hearted, wonderful guy. And so I hope that 2025 is better for him. The ep was emotional and raw, and I admire his ability to be vulnerable about this stuff with you
Right.
on the mic. So it was, yeah.
So we all
Love-
agreed that was the only Elvis that Cam has heard, but that is the greatest Elvis episode ever. And I'm just reading the live stream here, and Gord says the Festivus episode was a highlight of the year. And He says it's too bad Elvis will never hear it.
Maybe you can play it for him next Festivus.
But he'll never get in the Hall of Fame because he doesn't listen. And he would love it.
Yeah.
He just says, I don't do podcasts. Well, that's ridiculous.
Wait, what does
silly.
he do other than the James Blunt song?
I think he does Sirius XM. Like I think he does a lot of driving. I
Okay.
think, and I think he listens to Sirius XM. I don't think he just isn't in the habit of like listening to podcasts. So he says he doesn't. He says no offense, he doesn't listen to any podcast.
Yeah.
But I am actually pretty certain he would love this
Totally,
podcast.
but he likes sports radio though. Like he seemed like I feel like he like knows all that.
Bob
sort of
McCowan
stuff.
and all
Sure.
that.
Yeah,
all that
Bobcat.
jazz.
Yeah, he did a whole thing on Bobcat.
That's right.
Do you not?
Wow.
You never know when someone's going to say
Bobcat.
Oh, Bobby. Could have been my guest for episode 500.
Could have been.
We were saying like the Mount Rushmore of Never in the Basement. So we got Bobcat, we got Derringer, we got
O-Dog. O-Dog
Oh, was
gave
O-Dog?
me
Okay, yeah.
Hard no.
a hard. It was
Yeah.
a hard no.
Yeah.
It was a hard
Or there's also like Rosie Demand. Like I'm not a I'm a
Strictly-
print gal.
Print
A
gal.
strictly a print gal am I, or
Yeah,
something like
that's
that.
good.
Yeah.
Print gal would be like a good chat room like name or something. I'm just a print gal.
Yeah.
All right, so
Good.
we all love the Elvis
Yes.
episode.
We did lose an FOTM in Q4. Scott Carefoot.
All right, I'd like to say a few words
Yeah,
about Scott
please.
Carefoot because, you're at episode 1600. They're not all Ben Johnson, right? Like there are some like what I would call forgotten episodes or episodes that are front of mind or whatnot. But Scott Carefoot came to my attention because Brian Gerstein, the Brian Gerstein,
Property in the 6.com.
this Brian Gerstein said he's a big Raptor guy. You might know
Sure.
that about Brian.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder if he's it's tough times for Raptors,
It's a
but
diehard.
he's a diehard. He's still tuning in. But there was a Raptors blog that one of the writers was Scott Carefoot. And basically, Brian sold me on having Scott over for a conversation. This blog was literally called Raptors Blog. So, in October 2021, Scott Carefoot came over. It was episode 938. We talked about his Raptors blog. We talked about his foray into sports media. He was at The Sun for a bit, then The Score, then he was at Bell Media, The Hockey News, Rogers Radio. We talked for 100 minutes or something. And I got to know Scott through that conversation. And then I was very sad to learn that at a very young age, he was younger than I was. He's younger than us, Tyler.
Yeah.
He's Cam's age around there, but he passed away way too soon. So what I did was I pulled a clip of the Scott Carefoot episode, and we're going to listen to Scott Carefoot as he sounded on Toronto Mike.
At that point, it rebranded rafterblog.com with Scott Carefoot. And that's a branding choice. Now, of course, there was some backlash like, who the hell is Scott Carefoot? But my point was, you're going to find out. So really the point of the blog was to be like the opposite of Doug Smith, frankly. I would say that my attempted writing style at the time was a combination of Bill Simmons and Hunter S. Thompson, which is, a strange combo, but I was, very profane. I ruthlessly attacked media. I ruthlessly attacked the Raptors when they sucked. But I also started to, bring in advanced stats.
Look at you.
Because that wasn't something that anybody was doing in the NBA in 2002.
Right.
And, the advanced stats that I learned, shout out, by the way, to John Hollinger. I don't know how many people know who he is. He was sort of on the forefront of advanced stats in basketball. He used to have a book he published every year called The Basketball Prospectus that at the time taught me everything I knew about analytics in basketball. And I would later use those analytics to win multiple fantasy leagues. So that was pretty fun. So anyways, so I start up and, I'm slowly gathering steam or whatever. So here's where the promotion part comes in. I would go to various Raptors message boards and under fake names. and I was careful about it because, you can't have every post like, hey, check out Raptor Blog.
Sure.
So maybe every 10th post I would do it and I never got found out.
No, the truth is this the first time you revealed this in public, or is this something you've shared before?
I'm pretty sure it's the first time, but
okay,
you know,
I need to play my breaking news sound effect here. No, just kidding.
So the real breaking point was the Toronto Star, and this is so cute looking back. In their newspaper, they said, "Hey, do you know any cool websites we should check out? Send us, email us or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, this is too easy." So once again, under a fake name, I emailed them like, "Hey, there's this cool new basketball site called rafterblog.com. It's got really great writing and blah, blah, blah." And then for some reason I added, and I hear soon they're going to add a message board, which I had no plans of actually doing. So sure enough, the letter got published, which was great.
Yeah.
But then there was a moment of panic. Oh crap! Now I need to put up a message board. So I quickly got one up within 2 weeks. And it started to blow up after that. And, and then what I did at that point is once it blew up, I rejoined Real GM, this time under my real name.
Okay.
And it got me a lot of respect from some people anyways, because, mind you, I'm not like, but as it started to get bigger and bigger, I continued to post there under my real name. And, I would take shots from people and I would give it right back.
Sure.
So I think I got some credit. Some people were like, "Get out of here. You don't belong here." So a lot of that stuff too.
All right. That was Scott Carefoot.
Yeah.
And no longer with us, sadly, gone far too soon. But when I wrote about Scott Carefoot on my blog, and by the way, listening to that clip, I get like nostalgic for like the blogging era. Like before there was a Toronto Mike podcast, it was the blog. And that early too, remember this, Cam? The blogs were fucking great.
Incredible. I remember when Scott passed away, just seeing some of the other sort of writers and like sports writers who came out. I know Eric Corrine had said some really nice things on X, the Everything app. But as well, Andrew Stoughton, I think, said something when you think about like another guy who came up through the blogosphere and sort of went into, kind of like the mainstream media, as it were.
Brown, there's a bunch of these guys.
Well, even like fucking Steve Dangle and like really like Jeff Merrick too. Like he sort of mind you, like he sort of came up through like radio. Yeah. So that's a little different, but again, like not to get like again and like R.I.P. Scott. Like yes, way too fucking young. But again, Mike Aussie, this work you're doing, like, where else are you going to hear like this is the only place for this guy who's fucking dead now.
Yeah.
That's going to be the place. That's going to be, Kava's tombstone. Like that sounds like really dark. So again, thank you for what you do. Like this is like fucking great. It's important.
I'm happy to do it, but I didn't know who Scott Carefoot was until, just like I didn't know who Guh was till you turned me on to Guh, and now we have a Guh episode. I didn't know who Scott Carefoot was until Brian Gerstein got my ear, and he basically told me why I should give a shit about what Scott Carefoot did, and I was like, yeah, I want to talk to Scott Carefoot.
Yeah,
I invited the guy over. He sat down here, like I said, for 100 minutes, and we captured that conversation. And it was wild to listen to it after he passed, because he's kind of spilling all the dirt on how he did what he did, and it involved fake names and all this skullduggery.
Well, again, like I don't know if you guys are following what's happening with the Internet Archive, most famously known as the Wayback Machine, but where that might actually go away. And then you hear also like in tandem, like Elon Musk, sort of slagging like Wikipedia, like calling it Wokepedia and all this bullshit. But it just, I was just reading this article. I actually pulled it up here. God, not to get like all wonky, but I'll just read this sentence. A recent Pew Research Center study on digital decay found that 38% of web pages accessible in 2013 are not accessible today.
Wow.
So like all this shit is going to go away if it's not written down somewhere, be it Wikipedia, the Toronto Mike podcast, the Internet Archive, whatever. We're just going to lose these huge chunks of history. Like I think of when like Brandon Gones bought Now and wiped out that entire like Now archive. Like that's completely gone. That's a huge piece of like Toronto entertainment history.
The reason we're hosting this show right now is we're all cut from the same cloth here, which is I can't believe like the whole idea that big chunks of the internet are just deleted.
Yeah.
To me, it's like shocking. It's like, you know what it's like when you go down a rabbit hole. You write books. You ever going to release a book? Or you just write
still working on it.
Only MF gets to read the books.
Yeah.
That,
well, I did send.
But when you do research, you have your spots for research, and they're invaluable, right? Like if you were going to write about Raptors blog and the whole blogosphere of the Raptors, like having that conversation with Scott Carefoot is an important part of the research.
Absolutely. It
100%.
again, it fills in all these gaps, you know. This all just like fits into this like huge mosaic, and if these little bits and pieces don't exist, they're gone forever.
And they're leaving us quickly. They're going away.
Absolutely. And you know, I hate to say, like, fucking times are tough out there. Like, it's, you know, I don't think we can take any of this shit for granted anymore.
Why do you
I'm
think
getting, like, all worked up
Why
now.
do you think I shared all 1,611 MP3s are shared with you guys on Google Drive?
Yeah.
Exactly.
When I get hit by that bus tomorrow on my bike ride, you can do what you wish, but at least you can share it with the masses. As per my wishes, shout out to Ridley Funeral
Yeah,
Home.
so like again, to answer your question, am I doing too many podcasts? No, do
Yeah.
more. Do
Yeah.
do whatever
Keep doing it.
you think makes
Oh,
sense.
fuck. I need that rich guy to step up. That was part of the deal. It doesn't have to be a
Absolutely.
guy. It can be a gal. I don't
Sure.
care
Yeah.
about gender, but I need a rich person.
You
to
need
step
one of these
up.
like Mike Richards type arrangements. So we'll get to him in a few minutes.
Richards.
Yeah.
So rest in peace.
Yes.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home, Scott Carefoot. And it's kind of, when you have that many guests in the archive, it's one, and again, gone far too soon. Okay, I've got what do they call when you're in your 90s? Non-genarians?
Nonagenarian.
Nonagenarians. Like, there are nonagenarian FOTMs out there who are hanging on. I'm
Yeah.
keeping them alive. So it's sad to lose somebody in their 40s.
Very.
But Scott Carefoot, the only FOTM, passed away this past quarter.
Indeed.
All right. Now, you have the open channel.
I do.
You haven't played anything
I
yet.
haven't yet, but we're getting to that.
Okay.
So now we're going to talk about
I'm very excited. Very excited.
top eps of Q4. And I do have some clips in this section. There are a couple eps that I'm going to talk about where I have no clips, but then I have a whack load at the end.
Okay.
So the first one I wanted to talk about was Chantal Kreviazuk.
Yeah, one of my favorite episodes of the quarter.
Fantastic episode. A big get. I know you were a bit apprehensive going into it because you had maybe heard some stories. But I thought this was a masterclass in building rapport. You drove the conversation, you broke down barriers, any barriers that might have been there.
Well, she was, when I came down the stairs, she was down here and I went up to get, I don't know what I went up to get. I can't remember. But I went upstairs and then I came back down and she starts with a story about how she was on some other show and she demanded all these edits or something because she didn't know it was live or something. And I swear to you, I did this. I don't know. I think some people saw it on the live stream because it was a hot mic, right? But I looked her in the eyes and I said something like, I said, don't say anything into the mics that aren't fit for public consumption because I'm not editing a syllable. And then she kind of she knew the rules going in. Like, I wasn't going to edit anything, and she can give me a list of 20 edits she wants at the end of it, but I'm not going to make them.
She just rolled with it.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah, she was very cool.
Yeah.
She was very open. There was lots of laughter. She was busting your balls a bit.
Absolutely. Because I couldn't say Chantel.
That's right. That's right.
I said it right there.
She schooled you.
Is that true? She said that?
Yeah.
What did she want? No, I did listen to it.
So I was saying Chantel.
Chantel.
Oh, Chantel. Okay.
Yeah.
And she
Chantel.
kept.
So I thought
she
it meant
kept,
don't call me by my first name.
No.
I
Just it's Chantel, like Shawn Mendes. Okay. It's not Chantel, and it took me a while. In fact, I recorded something on New Year's Eve, just a recap thing, and Monica heard it playing. I was playing it on the laptop, and she heard it, and she said, "You said Chantel." So I actually called her Chantel in the recap episode.
Chantel.
I don't know. I must have known her Chantel.
Hey, Chantel.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I hope you have more words to say about her, except to say that after the recording, she did intervene in a road rage incident with a postal employee, and I captured some of it on tape. But that was a wild ride, and I absolutely loved every minute of it.
Yeah, she was great, and she seemed to open the door to a future visit from her and Rain.
Yeah, she seemed to dig it.
And where is that in the calendar at any point? Let's get that.
Not in the calendar yet.
Let's get that going.
Not in the calendar yet, but I'm hopeful.
And I think someone made this joke at the time, but it's going postal, but in reverse. That whole incident, where it's actually the postal carrier
person
was being the dick in this situation.
Yeah.
So
well, was the guy was being the dick to the postal.
Exactly.
Right. You're right. It was the opposite. And I got to say, I wasn't sure what to expect because I did have some advance warning about this woman, and I had a story told to me about her on an airplane and the nanny, and I got all this stuff, and I had this in the back of my mind, and she couldn't have been more delightful.
Yeah.
She was the Elvis of guests.
Yeah.
I thought she was real, and I thought she was humble. And not Humble Howard, but humble. And I thought she was just a fantastic conversation. And I have nothing but positive things to say about Chantel Kreviazhuk.
Mike, quick question about that episode. Final thought. Just quick yes, no answer. Is she a top 10 richest FOTM from all that like Avril songwriting?
You know,
money?
I don't care. You know, I don't care.
No, I'm
I
just
really
curious.
don't
We
care.
care.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I think
Great
possibly. I think possibly.
Okay. Clive Smith was this last
Oh,
year.
yeah.
Is that
That
stepping on any
guy's-
toes?
And who's
He's a top 10.
Mini
which is
Fresh
maybe
or-
Melly Fresh.
Melly Fresh?
Yeah.
But Clive
Mini
Smith
Pro.
sold Nelvana,
Yeah, that's a big one.
responsible for many Stu Stone jobs.
Yeah, he's got some coin.
And got some real coin from that.
Yeah, hit up that guy. Maybe he'll bankroll you.
Seriously, yeah, that's the type of guy you need.
Clive, baby,
Yeah.
come on, let's do it.
Kind of a
Well,
Gary Slate. type.
I talked to Colin Brunton this past quarter about hitting up that guy
Yeah.
to finance his documentary about
A National
Nash the
Slash.
Slash.
National
Yes.
Slash.
He needs
So,
$35,000.
I don't know. All these people coming with their hats out, hat in hand, to Clive Smith. Finance my art project.
It's like Nash's top hat in hand. Just
How much?
goes there.
How much cash does Hollett have? Michael Hollett,
I think I meant
not
Jen
Jennifer, no.
Hollett.
Michael Hollett.
That's hard to say. Well, I think they did own that building.
Because I let him buy me a beer at the Red Room.
He's got beer money.
I bet he's okay.
It was 40
I bet he's
bucks,
okay. Yeah.
It was no Great Lakes there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of the rich FOTM.
You should
out there.
start getting financial disclosures from all your guests.
You know, who's got
Good
cash?
T-Force. Yeah.
Steven Stone.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Is
Stephen.
that, do you have that in the
Right.
notes? I thought that was a pretty
Yeah,
good.
That was a good
it's little bit of
episode.
Stone.
Okay, a little bit of
There's
Stone. Okay, so
Yeah,
let,
I did
let's
like
back
that.
to Tyler.
Yeah,
He's done a lot
thank
of
you.
work here.
So that,
Couldn't do without you.
that was Chantel.
Chauncey,
You
you
did
fucked
it to
up
me.
too.
You did it to me.
It's hard
Ralph and Brent was a great
Yeah.
episode. I love that episode.
because there's very little me.
Well, that's the thing. You've been doing this thing lately where you bring in
Cam missed that one. Come on, Brent Bambury.
Brent
Oh,
Bambury,
right.
Ralph and
Of
Brady.
course. Yeah.
Come on,
Uh,
you're too young.
I do have it downloaded.
You do this,
J6.
you've been doing this thing where you bring in a couple of people and you just let them talk and you fade it in the background, and it's a really clever way to get the most out of your guests.
And it's easy
Yeah,
because I don't have to say anything.
I think the episode you did with Dave Perkins and Bob Elliott was sort of the prototype for this.
You're 100% right. Don't forget Larry Milson.
All-time favorite.
Well, you did one with just Bob.
Oh,
and-
you did.
and
Yes,
Dave.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I did both.
And it just allows guests to go a bit deeper. They have a shared history. It's really just two friends catching up. It was really fun listening to them. They had a lot of conversation about their early days with CBC, their experiences.
And because these episodes are so meta, no one's listening unless they really care about this shit.
Exactly.
So it's like we're preaching to the converted here. But I go into those episodes like I almost have a little chat with myself, like Stuart Smalley or something, looking in the mirror, and I say, "Okay, Mike, you got Brent Bambury and Ralph Bimmergy are going to visit you.
Yeah.
Your job, Mike, is to get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah,
Like
and-
I literally say." You're going to introduce it. You got to move it on a little bit with some moderation or whatever, but no one wants to hear your voice on this episode. I say that to myself, Tyler. I say nobody wants to hear your voice on this episode, and I'm like, you're right.
Yeah, and it works. Like it's a really good formula for some really compelling content. So hats off to you for shutting up.
Hat in hand. Who wants to give me money,
All right,
rich people?
Let's hear a clip. You had a fun conversation with this guy in advance of the Gary Top panel. We just sort of alluded to it. It was really fun hearing Colin Brunton talk about his early days with the Garys, talk about the last Pogo, his Nash the Slash doc, which he needs $35,000 to finish. He also worked with Ken Finkelman on a show that I love,
Okay, yes,
The
thank you.
Newsroom.
Oh, the news.
Mike Lowe here.
And he had a surprising
Yeah.
little story about a job that Ken nearly had. So I'm going to try out this clip playing thing and see if it works.
Do you want to hear his Simpsons story?
I love The Simpsons.
So Ken Finkelman is I think it was the first or second season of The Simpsons. And his agent said, hey, they want to talk to you. They want you to be a writer on the show.
Wow.
So he flew down to New York for the first read through or the first meeting. And he was fretting about leaving his family up here. He went to the meeting. He's sitting there with 12 other writers. They start talking about the show, and Ken goes, excuse me 1 minute. And he stands up and he leaves, just went right to the airport and took off. Didn't say
goodness.
goodbye, and he just left and came back to Canada and then had a very nice relationship with CBC where they kind of let him do whatever he wanted.
That's a great story. That's a mind blow to me.
I love it.
I would never sleep again. Like if that. Oh my god.
But that's so it's so Ken Finkelman, a man I've never met, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's just got that imagine just sitting in New York, you're interviewing to be a writer on The Simpsons in the glory days, right? And you something for whatever reason, you get up and excuse yourself, you're gonna go to the washroom and you just go straight to the airport.
Feels like a Larry David, like George Costanza type move. That's brutal.
It's wild.
But yeah, he had a good career.
But that, like, you know, Colin just kind of, hey, you want to, because we were talking about the newsroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, I do want a Ken Finkelman story. Do you know your audience?
Actually,
you got to know your audience.
I need to add that to Wikipedia. That's a good thing.
Unbelievable.
I hope one day that Ken Finkelman will be on the show. It seems like it might be a hard get, but
book him for me.
Yeah, sure, I'll get on that.
After you get Neil Young.
That's right. All right, so that was Colin Brunton. He was great, and he was excellent on the panel that you moderated.
Yeah, he was great.
Leona Boyd came back. She is such a great guest, even though she's a Zoom. So this was my favorite Zoom of the year. And you've managed to build kind of a fun little rapport with her. You played the word association game with her.
Who did we practice that on?
With Peter Gross.
Okay, because
Yeah.
we have to. This is where we tear down the curtain. I just watched Wicked with my two youngest, and then we went and I made them watch Wizard of Oz after Wicked or whatever.
Right.
And you know, Toto's pulling back the curtain.
Yeah.
And then it's like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So this episode, we're like we're like Toto, one of Stu Stone's favorite bands, by the way.
God, what a perfect person to test trial that way. Like Peter Gross guy is like no filter, cannot tell a lie.
So in the WhatsApp of FOTM group, this idea was pitched. Like I was offered to have another Zoom of Leona, and I wasn't 100% sure I should do it because I already did a Zoom of Leona, and then I can't remember who to give credit to. Somebody
I thought it might have been Cam.
Yeah, it was me.
Cam?
Well, it was based on what's called Off the Record when Michael Landsberg used to do this with wrestlers, and there's a great clip of him doing this with Vince McMahon.
Right.
It's like the Ultimate Warrior, and McMahon's like a complete lunatic.
Okay.
And it's like Jesse the Biventura, not as important as he thinks he is. Just such an asshole.
See, what I love is hearing the breakdown of behind the scenes of how an idea comes to be. So you remember this Off the Record with FOTM Michael Landsberg.
Yeah.
And he would do this with like Vince McMahon, etc. And then you suggested I do it with Leona Boyd. And then I'm like, okay, I would like to do that with Leona Boyd. So I said, okay, I'll have a Zoom with Leona Boyd. And I felt comfortable to do whatever with her because we have a bit of a rapport. But then I wanted to practice it. And I practiced it with Peter Gross.
Yeah.
And that was amazing.
That was fun.
Yeah. Well, it's again, and you're just picking up these little bits of Canadian media IP and just like resuscitating them. And you've done that with like Fromage and stuff and these other things. So God bless.
So Leona Boyd was Zoom.
Yeah.
I thought another good Zoom this year though was Alpha Zapacost.
Oh yeah, he was great. He was terrific.
It was a good Zoom.
Yeah.
And you didn't have Lee Steinberg.
I did not have that. Was Lee was fun. You know, he's an interesting character.
Oh, and by the way, the Much Music retrospective was a Zoom.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's right.
Retro Ontario moved to
Port
where
Perry.
the hell is he?
Yeah.
One of the ports.
Port.
But Leona Boyd was fantastic. And
Yeah.
Can I just make a quick comment?
Of course.
Bit of a depressing episode. Just like a lot of like all my friends are dying type vibe.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we'll all be there someday.
She seemed a little sad.
A little melancholy.
Yeah.
100%. And the infinite sadness was detectable there as well. I agree with you 100%. It was a bit sad.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of taking this like Leona Boyd, this larger than life figure, classical guitarist, beautiful
dated
woman.
Pierre Trudeau.
Yeah.
He dated
Incredible.
Like this icon, right? And like sort of like let's just chat. Even though it might be a bit sad, like let's peel the curtain back and let's see what's going on here.
I do think we need a name for that sort of guest. I'd put like Carol Pope in the same category. Like doesn't quite know what this all is, just because like from a different generation or whatever, but just kind of goes with it too. Like we need a term for that sort of guest.
An amenable boomer.
Is Jane Siberry in that group or no?
I think so. Yeah,
because you're right. Sometimes they're like, I'm used to giving, I don't know, I got 7 minutes with like CTV Kitchener or something. I don't know. Yeah. And it's like, who's this guy and what's he doing here? Like, this is different.
Media savvy, not hip to the TMU at all, but game.
Right.
For a conversation.
And then the real tell, you have one is like 25 minutes and they're like, when are we going to talk about my new single?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like whatever they got going on.
So Leona had a lot to say about a number of people, including Tracy Chapman, who she did not like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk a lot of shit about Tracy Chapman, which shocked me.
Oh, my God.
But it was...
not since Liz Braun said Joni Mitchell's a complete B.
Wow.
But there was one person that you asked her about that didn't really get much of an answer, but the way that she didn't answer sort of stood out to me. So I'll just play that clip for you now.
I don't even know if you know this name, so I'll throw the name at you just to see if you had any interactions with him, because I know you did film a lot of stuff in Agent Court at the CFTO studio in Scarborough, and I'm just wondering if you ever met Uncle Bobby.
Oh, no, I didn't. No.
But do you know of Uncle Bobby? Do you know this gentleman?
I think I've heard of him, yes.
Whoa! Okay, we'll move on from Uncle Bobby, but I have to ask.
I got the message to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It seemed to me like there was maybe a little bit more to the story there with Leona.
Because she had a moment where, do I tell the story or not?
And just
back on the Airstream, or
there's no way that's
back of the school bus.
There's no way that's I don't know that name. That was not an I don't know that name.
Yes, I think I've heard of him.
But I don't know. Is the Christmas crackers on your list?
We're gonna get
okay. Only because I don't want to leave this on.
Yeah. No, we're gonna revisit. We're gonna loop back to Uncle Bobby.
I'll revisit Uncle Bobby.
All roads go back to Uncle Bobby.
That's really the reason this podcast exists.
Absolutely.
No one's talking about fucking Uncle Bobby.
It's pretty amazing that we are talking about Uncle Bobby with the volume that we talk about Uncle Bobby in 2025.
Yeah,
it's
well, tears are not enough.
Well, that's
you
right.
know that.
So actually, now Christmas eps. So you had a really spectacular little package of Christmas episodes, holiday episodes this year. Yeah. Starting with TMLX 17, which we've covered ad nauseum. We had the wonderful Kevin Shea story leading off, which you packaged up in the
Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box.
Which my 10-year-old references all the time.
Really?
Like, he really was affected by that story.
Wow. Well,
I
that's
think
great.
he listened to all 21 minutes.
Yeah.
And really, so Cam just made a face.
Listen to I fast
You
forwarded.
didn't like? You seriously?
I'm just like kind of busy.
Can I tell you?
Well, that's why I wasn't there.
What's
I was
wrong
busy
with
that
you?
weekend.
What happened to your brain that you can't listen
Where's your
to
heart?
21 minutes? Yeah.
It's like about I just don't.
Speaking of
care.
Wizard of Oz, you have no brain
sorry.
or heart
Oh,
or
stop
courage,
it.
as far as I'm
Stop
concerned.
it! How dare you?
So we had the Kevin Shea
Ken
story.
Finkelman just walk out of here.
Cam's going to the airport. FOTM Hall of Famer Lieve Famke announced that she's cancer free.
What a moment.
Which is amazing.
What a moment.
Wonderful.
We love that woman.
Tearjerker.
And of course, the Alan Zweig moment, which we
God.
have covered ad nauseum again, and we don't need to get into it any further.
Well, we covered it only in that right away it was covered, and then it came up with Elvis. But the part where he called Elvis like Ed McMahon.
Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think
he was
that's
laughing at my joke.
Yeah, and
which I think is a
think it's a
compliment.
compliment. Yeah.
I don't think that's such
Nothing
a
wrong
low
with
blow.
that.
That's not a low blow.
not at all.
Yeah.
Every Johnny Carson needs an Ed McMahon to be successful, and Elvis was my Ed McMahon. But I do have a clip. Like, I don't have to play it, but this is like the last time ever this is going to be referenced.
Yeah, sure.
I guess.
Why
But
not?
so I don't know if this ever got played on Toronto Mic. That's why I can't remember, but it was loaded up. But this is sort of a moment. So I had Alan Zweig there because he didn't like. I was talking to Brad Bradford about bike lanes. And I get it, like in the sense that I would be like, I don't want to hear a politician talk about bike lanes. But if it wasn't my show, I would probably just let it run its course, like, because I'm not the producer of this show. So if this host wants to talk to Brad Bradford, and I will remind people that anyone who came to TMLX 17 and wanted on the mic got on the mic. Anyone. Like, literally anyone.
Your mics are extremely democratic.
Yes, well, anyone, right? And Brad Bradford was there, who I respect, and I enjoyed our conversation. He's going to come back in 2025, so brace yourself. And I wanted to ask him about Bill 212 because he supported it. He supported it,
Yeah.
Tyler.
You did.
Like,
Yeah.
I need to have a little chat with this.
Active cyclist.
Right. So
Yeah.
Alan didn't like that, but we couldn't hear him yelling. So he came up to us to let us know, like, stop talking to this guy about bike lanes or whatever. And then he came on then I asked him if he could come on the mic, and then he went at the Ed McMahon thing. And then I remembered that Katie Lohr was in the building, and I wanted to talk about the worst podcast. So do you want to hear the tea that was spilled about the worst podcast?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Alan, you yelled at me, but no one could hear you because the mics weren't
I
pointing in your
yelled at you
direction.
because it was really boring, and you let a politician, no offense, make a speech for 10 minutes on
Well, probably closer
your
to 5 minutes.
fast talk. And on the other hand, I did understand what he was talking about, which I haven't understood a fucking thing since I got here.
Seems
But
like
I'll just say
him problem.
this. Thank God we have Doug Ford, whose decisions are all driven by data.
Big laugh.
Isn't it?
yeah.
You know what? People
Brad
from
loved it.
Etobicoke are complaining about bike lanes, not because when they're on their bike, they hate being in the lane, but because when they're in their car, they hate that there's a bike lane. Yeah, big fucking deal. Anyway, yes.
Alan Zweig, everybody. So he entertained me. I enjoyed it.
I drive too. Yes, it's harder to drive, but I imagine a day when there are more bike lanes and they're all safe and there's lots of people driving bikes. And if it takes longer in your car, take the fucking TTC. That's what I say.
Honestly,
Amen.
Words of wisdom. So, Alan.
But I'm not here to
First, I'm glad you're here.
dispute a politician.
I should have had I should have had Alan Zweig and Brad.
That would have been
together.
Langer Campbell sort of esque.
That's you.
Anyway, there's Katie, my co-host on our basically defunct podcast called The Worst Podcast.
Is that breaking news, though? Is it defunct?
Well, it's not. You know what? When somebody doesn't call you for a year, you can start to assume that they're not renewing you. So that's basically.
Okay, let me set the table.
I'm not on the official word. I've just basically like
Elvis.
When the producers ghost you, you kind of get the idea after a while.
So let me set the table. Canada Land, and Katie, welcome to Toronto Mic'd again. You're amazing. Katie, you were the producer of the Worst Podcast.
Yeah, co-producer.
There was like 8 people working on that.
There was
thing.
2 producers. I was the one that sadly got the mic.
And your voice was on the show.
Yes.
Because I listened in and there's Katie.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. I needed a sidekick, and I couldn't have done. That sometimes happens in life. They assign you a person. You're saying, "Oh, like what the fuck is this?" And then we were great. We were like not quite Sonny and Cher, or.
I thought you truly
we
hated
had
me
we
at
had
first.
a Sonny and Cher vibe going.
Well, Katie, was it love at first sight?
No, I would say I was like probably 98% convinced Alan preferred if I didn't exist at all. And then we did our first interview, and I was like, wait, I think we could actually be pals. And then we did become pals, and it's been a beautiful friendship ever since.
But you quit the show.
Yeah, because I don't like Alan.
Well, she didn't. No, wait a second. She didn't quit the on-air part. Yeah, she's still on the air if the show existed.
Yeah.
But you haven't recorded in a while.
What?
You have not recorded in a while.
Mike, we were contracted for 6 episodes. We did 6 episodes, and now we're wondering what the heck is going to happen.
So how long has it been since the last recording? Are we talking like 6 months? What are we talking?
Who cares? It's over. Stop.
Move on. Toronto Mike. It's not the Worst Podcast.
Move on.
Although maybe it is the worst podcast.
He's programming your show.
I know.
He wants to hear
flogging a
what
dead
he's gonna-
horse
That's
once
encroachment.
again. Come on.
Okay. Over 1 million downloads, Alan. Okay.
Yeah.
Ian's somewhere in the room.
Can we get Brad
I know,
up
but
here
that's
to get
1,500 episodes.
And if you love this
If you
kind
had
of banter,
1,000.
you should 100% listen to the Worst Podcast.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why is it defunct, though? Katie, I'm going to talk to Katie first. Katie, you're no longer with the company, so you left Canada Land.
Yeah.
And you're working somewhere else now.
Yeah, I was a freelance podcast producer, so Canada Land was one of my many gigs that I had. And yeah, we were contracted for. This is how
6 episodes.
This is how the podcasting industry works. This is not like a shocking revelation, but sometimes
I
a
disagree.
network will hire you to do a specific amount of episodes for a mini series to see how it goes, and
Okay.
then
Mike,
after that, they're
Mike.
like, "What do you
Yes,
want to do
Alan.
now?"
I don't know why I came today, but I didn't come to talk about fucking bike lanes and how my show failed. So
You brought it
let's-
up, Alan.
Actually, I didn't even know your show
and
failed.
I'm starting to understand Jojo Chinto now.
That's a good line.
This is a pay-per-view portion of the show, really.
So Alan knows, because we chat quite a bit. Alan knows, I'm a big Zweig fan.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is
when
the
I
part-
mentioned
okay,
the Rob
let me hear
Nash
this part.
episode, when Jeff Rogers turned me on to Rob Nash, he spoke about Steve Fogno. And he started talking about Steve Fogno on one leg ran across the country. You go to up any random Canadian who, with one leg, ran across the country.
This is a story about you. This is a story about how he mentions Steve Fogno,
And then I chime
you
in,
mention
right.
my film.
And I say there's a
how does
great-
that does not, that's nothing for any of us to comment on. There's another
No,
thing of
you literally
how
made the
good
movie
was
that I
in that
referenced.
episode. Anyway,
No.
go ahead. Thank
this
you
is,
for...
No, this is me saying to Rob Nash, there's a film you need to seek out to watch about Steve Fogno. I said it's an excellent film made by
Thank you, thank
FOTM
you.
Alan Zweig.
You know what? I get hard every time you shout me out, so... thank you.
All right, so it keeps going. I see this is a long clip here, but this is the tea being spilled about Canada Land, and I thought it was pretty cool to get the host of the Worst Podcast because I followed it kind of closely because I was curious what was going on there.
Named one of the best podcasts or Canadian podcasts of 2024 by Amazon.
That's right. Featured in Sankofa Square.
And I think the gentleman he refers to there ghosting him for a year is Jesse Brown. So I don't know. I never met Jesse Brown.
I feel like Jesse's had a tough year. A lot going on over there. But what's his deal? Like honestly,
Jesse's?
No, Alan. Like, is this shtick? Like what?
No,
what is this?
Okay, wait.
I don't know.
Tyler's going to open up another beer, and then we won't spend too much time on this, except to say that I don't think it's shtick. Like, I think he's kind of proudly a curmudgeon. He made a movie called I Curmudgeon, right? Like, he's proudly a curmudgeon. I don't think he cares what people think about him.
Yeah.
And I think and maybe this is what I'm attracted to, I think he's refreshingly candid, and there's no bullshit. Like, there's no bullshit. Like, he'll tell you to your face, I don't like this conversation you just had. But what I've listened back now a couple of times. I'm not sure exactly, like, because when I heard Steve Fogno mentioned on an episode of Toronto Mike, I did mention that there's a great doc on Steve Fogno, which I love, by Alan Zweig.
Right.
I'm not sure he's like, that story is about you. He keeps saying that. But I don't know how that story is about me. Like, I feel that story is about this piece of art you might have missed. Because we miss a lot of good art in this fucking country. But it was aired on TVO. That's where I saw it. And Alan Zweig made it. And I was just trying to celebrate this piece of art because Alan Zweig is a great filmmaker.
Yeah, again, and clearly someone who cares. Like, you don't make these documentaries because you're trying to get rich necessarily. So, credit to him for putting this together. I just don't get what his deal is.
Well, I'm going to crack open another beer.
Okay.
And I'm here to say that I got a lot of feedback about TMLX17, and some of it was about Kevin Shea, and some of it was about Lieve Famke, but a lot of it was about Alan Zweig. And I think that's better than some boring PR speak. Sort of like, Brad Bradford comes on and he's towing he's a politician. So
he's doing shtick.
He's going to do shtick, essentially, reading the talking points memos or whatever. Yeah. And Zweig doesn't have talking points memos. He's going to talk from the heart, from the head. And you either like it or you don't. And if you don't, you like, And I can see why some people don't like it. It's a bit abrasive, and it's a bit, even listening back, it's a little bit tough to stomach or whatever. But I lived that in real time, and it was a highlight for me. Like, I didn't know what he was going to say next, and I respected the source.
Hey, it's a real talk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Real talk.
Am I nuts for digging Zweig?
No, I don't think so. No.
Is this a Stockholm syndrome?
No, he's authentic, and he's himself, and he's nothing if not memorable.
Yeah.
So
I like hearing he was in the car with like Blair Packham, and who was the third person in that car?
Simon Rakoff.
What a car! Like, in all three great FOTM. Simon Rakoff's very funny, and Blair Packham's Blair Packham's ex-wife is my guest on Monday.
Oh,
Arlene Bishop is her name.
Right.
Arlene Bishop makes her Toronto Mike debut on Monday.
Cool.
Like,
That's cool.
And it's like, okay, let's do this thing. But I love Blair Packham, I love Simon Rakoff, and I love Alan Zweig.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing that I think one of them couldn't drive because of eye surgery. That was Blair. One of them, it's a long story, but Zweig couldn't drive because of a licensing issue. And Simon, I think, could drive, but he didn't have a car. So it's like they're trying to figure out, like, how do the three of us get to Palma's Kitchen? So shout out to Palma Pasta for hosting us. I loved TMLX17. Yeah. It is the only time where we have a recording at a TMLX event, because we had 3 TMLX events in 2024. One was at Great Lakes Brewery in South Etobicoke, and that's when I got the kayak, and that was amazing. No recording. And one was at GLB Brew Pub at Jarvis and Queens Quay. That was amazing. No recording. And then one was at Palma's Kitchen. We recorded that. TMLX 17. I might dupe that for 2025. Just do the same things. I don't know if we were going to talk about TMLX events, but
we're doing it now.
We're doing it now. So TMLX 17, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, it was just great. I loved starting with Kevin Shea. I loved that he took 21 minutes to tell that story. I appended that story to the New Year's Eve release that I dropped, and I still love that story. And if he wanted to go 41 minutes, I would have let him do that.
It's like the kind of post-rock band that starts with like the 21-minute track rather than put it as like track 10.
It was great.
So just to wrap the holiday episode, we had Ron Sexsmith as well with his excellent chat. He's such a great guy.
Did Cam watch? Did you hear that one?
I've actually never listened to any of his episodes. I'm sure
he's only got 2. He's only got 2. But both Zooms, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, he was nice. Good to he chatted about his song that went to #1 on the.
Do you know this,
charts.
Cam? That a song written by Ron Sexsmith went to number 1 on the holiday chart?
I feel like I saw this on the social media.
Do you know who sings it? The version that went to number 1?
Not Paul McCartnney.
No. But Stevie Nicks and, this is kind of interesting, Jason Kelce. Former NFL player,
brother,
Eagles, brother of Travis, who might be dating dating a woman named Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah, and he lives in Stratford now, right?
Ron does.
Ron does. Not Jason Kelce.
Not Jason Kelce. That would be a mind blow.
Pronouns.
Yeah. That would be a mind blow.
Anyway, to bookend the Leona Boyd Uncle Bobby stuff, the
one does.
Christmas Crackers ep. So great to hear Ed back on Toronto Mic'd 3 times this year, I believe.
Yep.
And the Christmas Crackers ep didn't happen last year. It's back with a vengeance this year, and it sounds like it'll continue on into the future, which is great news. But
I missed it last year.
Yeah, it was missed. Ed brought some really great Uncle Bobby tales to Christmas Crackers. Talked about Uncle Bobby coming to Canada to find his wife and son who had left him in England, which was kind of a wild story. He had a couple of daycares called Bimbo Daycares that he
that was a mind blow.
Ran. I'm not sure how if he'd be able to do that today with background checks and such.
Might need a rebrand.
Consenting adults.
Yes,
Tyler, come on. Be kind.
Yes, of course. But most importantly for me was this mind blow bomb that Ed brought.
Okay, I'm ready.
And I'll just I'll play the clip. Like it more than speaks for itself.
Drop it.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
I got goosebumps again listening to Howard Beale there in Network. But that's Agincourt, right?
That is correct, and that leads me to what was the most interesting nugget of information that Barry Kent revealed to me is that when Peter Finch filmed that scene, I'm Mad as Hell, at Agincourt, Uncle Bobby and the whole Uncle Bobby whack pack was standing behind the set watching that scene be filmed because it was a day when they were taping. So that's a very, very famous scene, very famous movie scene. Obviously, Peter Finch won the Academy Award for that performance of Howard Beale, and that movie is so ahead of its time. But the idea that Uncle Bobby is basically there.
So as you're telling that, I don't know if you get the same when you get these mind blows, but I felt weak in the knees. Like I almost collapsed to the floor. That Uncle Bobby was in the room when that icon, and you're right, forget the fact it was filmed in Scarberia. Like if you're watching the Oscars, they might play that clip. Like what an iconic clip from a iconic movie. And Uncle Bobby was like just feet away, steps away.
Just out of frame, yeah.
Oh my God. Even hearing that, I knew where it was going. I'm weak in the knees again.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's wild. Wait, what's that documentary about backup singers? Like
10 feet from stardom.
Yeah, sort of like a 20 feet from stardom.
Mary Clayton and Gimme Shelter.
Yeah.
That's my favorite example. That
but like
Gimme Shelter.
Literally every year, Oscars montage, one of the most famous clips in like cinema history.
Yeah. Go come up with your top 50 quotes from movies history. You're gonna have that one. We're not in Kansas anymore. Like,
you can't handle the truth.
Yeah. Right. You know.
It's right up there. That's like worse than Macho.
That's not bad.
You can't handle.
That's a pretty good Jack.
Yeah.
Big Lakers fan, you know.
God, what a mind blow. Anyway, just not to again, we're gonna get to the Wikipedia updates, but when I heard that, I updated 3 separate Wikipedia pages for that. The Uncle Bobby profile, the network, the movie profile, the fact that it was filmed at Agincourt, and also there's
but that was dropped in a previous Retro Ontario visit. I knew it because of a previous Retro. I would say, I don't want to make you can listen for whatever reason you want to whatever you want in this feed. I'm honored if you listen to anything in the Toronto Mic'd feed. That is the truth. But really, like if you skip Retro Ontario episodes, I gotta question your motives here. Like, what are you here for? Right? You're not here for celebrity worship. Like if you're skipping Retro Ontario, don't come to TMLX events. Right? Is that rude?
No. Well, I was gonna say like famous. I think everyone knows certain movies filmed in Toronto. Good Will Hunting,
Christmas
and
Story.
stuff like that. Christmas Story,
Police
etc.
Academy.
Jeremy Hopkins just did an episode about this.
But this is like a core piece of information that should be in any retrospective. Not just the fact that it was filmed at Channel 9 Court, but the fact that fucking Bobby Ash.
Who's the
sorry,
guy?
your kids are upstairs.
That's okay. Trust me, they're my kids. They've heard a few F-bombs, okay? They heard a few F-bombs. Okay, who's the CFTO broadcaster who passed away? Who was parking cars in retirement? Like he was parking cars at
Parking cars?
Come on, this
Not
guy.
Tom Gibney.
Yes, Tom Gibney.
Tom
Gibney
That's
was
it.
parking cars?
Tom Gibney was parking cars
Missed that.
after he retired from the news. But Tom Gibney is in this.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's parking cars.
Yeah, he was parking cars
Okay.
for like I think an auto dealer or something like
At
that.
Harvard
Like,
Yard?
Yeah.
I think he didn't need the money so much as he wanted to have something to
Stay
do.
busy,
He
sure.
wanted to have a job.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing. So you
Fun
learned
fact.
it here first. Here.
Gibby, the original Gibby.
I'm on the original Gibby. I'm just on the live stream here because we have people here in real time reacting to things we say. So Andrew Ward brings up Alan Zweig's stumbling physicality towards the mic because we kind of we didn't really touch on that, but when he wanted me to hear him, he kind of barrels towards the mic, and I didn't hear anything, and all of a sudden I see Alan Zweig running towards the mic, and I'm just glad he didn't want to slug me. So that's that. And then Jeremy Hopkins. Katie is not pronounced Katie. Her parents were high. What's he talking about? No, it is Katie.
It's like
confirm
two
that way.
T's, right?
It is two T's in Katie.
Doesn't read
but
like
it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Right. But he goes, Zweig approached the desk like a Morlock. So I don't even get that reference, but it sounds accurate to me. And he enjoys all the TMLX events. We met Jeremy Hopkins at a
That's right.
TMLX
That's
event
right.
at,
We love
at
Jeremy
the
Hopkins.
Palma's
Good
Kitchen.
chat.
So
Good
thank
dude.
you, Palma Kitchen. Do you guys want a lasagna?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
sounds like MF is in DC. So Cam's
Cam's a bachelor.
Cam's
she'll
hungry.
be back in a couple days. so.
You look like you've
Yeah.
lost a couple of pounds.
Yeah, let's get a
actually.
lasagna
So
into
I
Cam.
have in my freezer from Palma Pasta and the great Anthony Petrucci, whose son delivered these lasagnas to me. And I made a joke about we need more bike lanes because I know and then he said we should have bike lanes on the 401, and I said that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We should have bike lanes on the 401.
It's a great, and by the way, another not an FOTM, but someone we lost in 2024, the patriarch of the Petrucci family. Do we not? Like
yeah,
the,
that was
yes.
Marsilio.
Marsilio. Yeah.
Yeah. No Marsilio, no Palma Pasta. So
Absolutely.
you guys are going to remember him when you chow down on your delicious
Absolutely.
lasagna.
The best.
And I
Thank
have
you.
measuring tapes. I'll get you. I don't know how many. If you have a collection of them now,
I actually broke mine the other day,
Did
so
you?
this is timely.
Oh crap! I'm going to give you one.
Excellent.
It's courtesy of Ridley Funeral Home.
Absolutely.
And I think people listening to this podcast would enjoy Life's Undertaking, available wherever you got this podcast, and I get to co-host that. So thank you, Brad Jones, and thank you to the good people at Ridley Funeral Home. And last but not least, and it was exciting that they renewed for all of 2025, recyclemyelectronics.ca. That's where you guys go when you got the old cables,
Every
the old
time.
tech. You go to recyclemyelectronics.ca. I got a note from Ian Service. He had to. It sounds terrible when I tell you he dropped a big load.
Oh,
but it was
dear.
some tech to be recycled.
Like a CPU.
And
or
here's a
something?
little FYI after that terrible potty humor to tell you that there is opening for a new partner. So the VP of Sales is busy on some other projects. So honestly, best value in town. Over 1 million downloads in 2024.
207 episodes.
It's the best value in the world.
Multiple
and you get
mentions
to
per
partner
episode.
with. You don't have to be a rich guy either. You don't have to be Clive Smith. So I'm gonna get the measuring tapes, and then Tyler, do you have any more clips?
I sure do. The last episode that I wanted to highlight from the quarter was kind of my look at that measuring tapes.
Measure what you wish, Tyler. I don't need to know about
Into the
it.
pile.
Is it for measuring my coffin?
How many? Do you have a number of how many times?
You know
that
what?
joke
I should
came
have.
up?
I should have tallied
See, I
that
don't
up.
react to it anymore because
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to make them feel bad.
Yeah,
but that's a very
It's
common
weak.
joke.
It's weak sauce.
But it's hard to like lay off the belt high fastball.
Yeah, you gotta
right?
you gotta take a swing at that.
You gotta go for it.
Yeah. My
Like
sleeper.
Ricky Henderson did in '93. What a walk off.
Man, oh man, he
God.
just.
Ricky.
I love when Ricky goes deep.
Greatest of all time.
You know it.
He really is.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Mitch
really
Williams
fucking is.
didn't like him dancing on second, and he did serve up a.
Got in his head.
Yeah.
Rent
Well,
free.
He you know what? I did talk about this with Elvis in the Festivus episode. I've revisited that moment, and I'm giving much more credit to Ricky than I did initially.
Yeah. No Ricky,
And
no.
Cam's saying he's
Joe.
not sure.
Well, I just feel like Mitch Williams was pretty rattled that entire postseason from what I recall.
But the greatest base stealer in the history of the game is dancing on second base, and he's the tying
not,
run.
not helpful.
You're in
He
the
was
ninth
distracted.
inning. You're in the
Yeah.
ninth
Yeah.
inning. He's the tying run.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's like left-handed. Like, you know, he's sort of curled back. You can see like it's fucking Ricky Anderson. right
Alfredo
there.
Griffin is on deck.
Yeah.
You don't want to face him.
Yeah. Like
Why would you
two
even
Hall of
pitch
Famers
Joe Carter
on
with
base.
Alfredo Griffin on deck?
You know what? Today they just walk Joe and go after Alfredo Griffin.
I'm trying to think who would have been on the bench, like because like Darnell Coles was he
Yeah,
on the
Darnell
team?
Coles, Rob Butler.
Yeah, I feel like Darnell Coles,
Turner
like he
Ward.
would have. God,
Can you imagine Rob Butler gets that game-winning RBI?
Oh,
in that
man.
game?
What a
He wouldn't be
different-
coaching the Leafs right now.
No.
Yeah, he would not be an FOTM if he'd be like the Paul Henderson type if he.
Who said no to me at the Joe Carter Classic? The only athlete that Tim Herron. I hope. Hello to Tim.
Hello, Tim.
You're going to drive me again in 2025, right, Tim? By the way, Tim and Tyler have something in common. They both drove me to officially sanctioned Toronto Mike recordings in 2024. Because Tim drove me to the Joe Carter Classic. Tyler drove me to
man.
TMLX 17.
I did.
What a sweetheart here. So, Tim, if you're listening, he can tell you that Paul Henderson said no when we approached him at the golf course at, what's that golf course called?
Glen Abbey.
Glen Abbey.
Glen Abbey.
And he invited him to come on the mic with me. He said nope.
Absolutely not.
Doesn't want to talk about. The
And he's
goal.
supposed to be a Christian.
Yeah. Unreal.
How dare he?
That's why I'm at the Church of Satan with Doug Broad.
There you go.
That was a fun episode, too. I
Yeah,
liked him.
he was good.
So my sort of sleeper episode for the quarter, what a fascinating character this guy is to me. He's a hard-boiled detective turned reporter.
Yeah. With a heart of gold.
Heart of gold. He's got his own merch.
Yeah, like a hippo. Is it
Yeah.
a hippo?
Yeah. He
what?
A purple hippo.
Yeah,
pink
he's got
hippo?
like this logo and he's got hoodies. He donates some of the profits to.
I find him kind of fascinating too.
Yeah.
Wow.
He wears pink. He
Real
listens,
man.
He listens to love songs and soft jams to take the edge off. He brought. I think he brought a Swiftie bracelet for Morgan.
for Morgan, yeah.
Walking contradiction.
His love life though is off limits.
Okay, you know what? I got that message pretty quick. Don't ask him about his love life.
Okay, move
Because
on.
I went there.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
You don't have that clip, do you?
I don't. I didn't bring that clip. I brought a different.
I knew right away that I'd have broken headlights. if I
Yeah,
asked
yeah,
him
yeah.
anymore about
No, he
that.
was very like he's very vulnerable with you. He talks about the music he loves, but
I felt like I could go there because he was so open
Yeah,
with me.
no,
but
that was a hard.
That was a bridge too far.
Yeah,
hard boil.
We're talking about Steve Ryan.
Steve
from
Ryan.
CP24,
Yes.
by the
Yeah,
way.
not to bury the lead, but
Best-selling author.
That's right. So Steve has seen some shit as he's discussed quite a bit on Toronto Mike, but in his guarded way, he opens up to you. He brings the soft jams and he keeps it interesting. He also did this thing that stood out to me. He did it a couple times on a couple of his jams that I have a clip of, and it's just endearing as hell to me. So I just wanted to play that for you now.
Ready?
Here comes the line right now. Watch this.
I don't know how you do what you do.
So loving you.
So in love with you. It just keeps getting better.
Very white.
I wanna spend the rest of my life
You by my side,
with you by my side.
forever and ever.
Forever and ever.
Everything you do.
Every little thing that you do. Baby, I'm amazed by you.
Yeah,
Wow.
he vocalizes
Yeah.
the next line.
Yeah.
But he says it like he's William Shatner.
Or he says it like subdivisions.
Or like the deep voice guy in Boys to Men or whatever, right? Like
That's
you-
right.
you know.
What is that song?
Baby.
Is that like Garth Brooks
Subdivisions?
or no?
Oh, that song?
Amazed by Lone Star.
Lone Star.
Okay, I've heard that song. Like that's a
What was
really
it? It
popular.
was you
yeah.
couldn't you honestly couldn't miss it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a country singer. That's Tyler, by the way.
Yeah, that was
all
me.
the bells and whistles.
Airdrops.
are Tyler
Yeah.
Campbell.
I'm just making moves
Is
over
that
here.
your wife messaging you when you get home? So I agree with you, Tyler. Thanks for shining a light on it. 'cause
Absolutely.
It's like one of many episodes that kind of came and went here, but absolutely fascinating to kick out the jams with Steve Ryan from CP24 because he is a hard-boiled detective, tough to read, gruff exterior, whatever, but you kind of get him here and then I become a psychiatrist or like an armchair psychiatrist and I start to let me see if I can find out what's beneath that hard exterior there. And then that becomes my job for like 90 minutes.
I think the fact he shows up again, someone who has, we all wear masks, as he's doing a bit of shtick too,
Right, like Bobcat.
But for whatever reason, this guy came back to kick out the jams. So clearly
Right.
he's into it, being down here.
100%. Yeah. He wanted to come back. So he came back, and it was episode 1581, by the way. And his jams were predictably soft.
Yeah. Kind of middle of the road.
But
type
I like that
content.
move he has where he says the line.
Yeah, he did it a couple times.
And I kind of, I remember in real time thinking, oh, interesting. And I'm glad you caught
It's
it.
not nothing. It's good.
We're Steve
Like
Ryan
it.
heads over here.
Hey, your jams are your jams.
Your
That's
jams, some wise person said that once. So.
So that was all I had for Q4 eps. Cam, I don't know if there were any other eps
That actually filled in they're almost all here. Just a couple more to shout out. The elusive Paul Farberman. Great episode. Interesting dude.
He showed up.
Yeah, I did like a bit of Tears Are Not Enough additional content, sort of shed some light on Catherine
He was getting the
McLennan was there.
waiver signed or whatever by the artist.
Yeah, Geddy Lee, there's your waiver. Neil Young, here's your waiver. Fascinating. Fascinating dude.
Good stuff.
Just seemed like a nice guy, too.
And the Celine Dion.
Yeah,
totally.
conversation,
Oh my God,
it was unbelievable.
Seen
Yeah.
some things,
Yeah.
and then we sort of touch on it, but the Mike Richards' annual big announcement.
Is that an annual episode?
Yeah, when does that
so.
debut? Like his sports talk show?
Soon,
coming
I
up?
think, before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's coming soon.
Yeah, it's
Hope it goes well.
yeah, but
Now,
again,
remember, this is airing in Calgary. On
he's got an audience
the
there for
Rogers
sure.
station. I don't know if you know about these Rogers stations,
Yeah.
Cam, but it's paid programming. So, we could be broadcasting FOTMcast on this station if we could. If Clive Smith would cut the fucking check.
but he said nothing out of his own pocket. Did he not say that?
I didn't want to do forensic accounting with him, but somebody's producing this video.
Right.
He's getting professional production of the video in Toronto, and then it gets. And also, I was thinking, sports. You're going to cut this thing on a Thursday, and it's going to air on the weekend. You
That's
know how
tough.
sports works,
That's
right?
tough.
Imagine
Yeah.
the junior tournament, right? It's tough to do that.
So what are the shows? So we got Being Frank, we got Out There with Melissa DeMarco, we've got this. I feel like there's others like this. A lot of the stuff you hear on radio, especially 1010 on the weekends, even
weekend stuff.
Yeah, like Mark Saltzman's tech show, for example.
He's come on and talked about that. Yeah, his move is he buys all this time
which
on
is
Bell
smart.
media companies, and then he goes to Microsoft and stuff.
I don't know if I feel like we talked about Dotto Tech before, with
Oh,
Steve
yeah.
Dotto. I feel
Yeah.
like that might be the same.
But that was on TVO, wasn't it? Was that a TV Ontario
I feel like it
show?
was on channel the
maybe I'm
Barry, the new VR.
I enjoyed
or
that
something.
show.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah, so that was the
Chalk
Mike
Talk?
Richards thing is always interesting. I don't know where the money's going to come. I just wish I just root for the guy.
Yeah.
We all root for this guy.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, and one more, Mary Jo Eustace.
Yes.
She who should not be named. What's the status of
can
your
name her.
relationship? Is everything?
I mean, we haven't chatted lately, but
Yeah.
when she sent me a lovely email to say she was leaving me for Jan Arden,
yeah.
and then Sarah Burke, who's an FOTM by the
Sure.
way, gave me a new RSS feed to redirect her RSS feed to, and I did it right away. I didn't do that move where you sit on it for a couple of days and then you do it or whatever. I did it right away.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
once you redirect the RSS feed in the podcasting world,
That's
that
it.
means that's it. Whoever
the
that now
cleaning
you
out the
don't-
house of
That's
the,
that's the moment
yeah.
where it's got a new home
Yeah.
or whatever. And I did it with a smile on my face, and then I told Mary Jo that I never got dragged by the tabloids before. I
Yeah.
had a lot of it was an interesting experience because I have these 11 episodes sitting on this hard drive right here. I'm pointing to
Yeah.
with Dean McDermott and Mary Jo Eustace. And that Dean told me I'm not allowed to drop. I thought
Yeah.
it was fascinating content. Mary Jo's parents are on it, and he apologizes to Mary Jo's dad, who now is suffering. We learned in that episode that I recorded with Mary Jo I co-hosted a show with Mary Jo before she moved it to the Sarah Burke woman in media thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But where we talked about her dad having dementia, and he's in a home now because of
Ugh.
his dementia is so
That's
far
too bad.
gone.
Yeah.
But I have this recording of her dad, hearing Dean apologize for what he did by cheating on his daughter and leaving the.
Are you basically redoing the episode?
No, I mean, I can talk. Dean said I couldn't air it. He didn't say I couldn't
Yeah.
talk about it.
Okay.
So, but I have all this. This was quite a wild ride to do this
Yeah.
show, and I met him through the Feminine Warriors, and then
Yeah.
Bob Willett told Mary Jo Eustace what I was up to, And then it all came together and we did this thing. And then the tabloids, when it ended, and then we repurposed it and pivoted to make it Senior Bitches. And then we hit number 1. And then I redirected her RSS feed, and I haven't heard from her in a while.
She's cool. I think we're all fans, but God, like it. I don't know if any other guests you've been sort of, almost like in sort of the third rail people TMZ kind of universe. It's wild.
No, that's
like
my
Toronto
most
Mike.
tabloidy moment.
I'm trying to think what would be number 2 in this case.
Oh, I don't know if there is a number 2 because. For whatever reason, the tabloids seem to love the Mary Jo Eustace.
They love the
Tory spelling McDermott angle, and then Mary Jo was like part of that story.
I feel like Tory's people are just dropping little.
Like she lives and dies. She needs that.
Yeah.
Like that's like her fuel or whatever is the tabloid stuff, which is foreign to me. But I mean, I didn't get named, but you remember the story is that Mary Jo and Dean had have current tense a son named Jack. And Jack's Instagram included this long thing about how I betrayed, this producer and this unnamed producer betrayed Dean McDermott's trust. And this is all bullshit, by the way. But anyway, it all got. Then People magazine quoted the Instagram story, which Mary Jo promises me was her son was doing that because Tory's PR people had him do it or whatever at a vulnerable time or whatever. So there's this Tory PR machine influencing this Jack's Instagram, who's Mary Jo's son. And then people pick it up, and then that's how I get dragged.
There you go.
There you go. But anyway,
first time for everything.
Love Mary Jo because she's a sweetheart, and I haven't heard from her in a while. But at some point, if she's in Toronto and she wants to meet for coffee, I would happily do that.
It's funny. Like a quarter's only what, like 12 weeks, 14 weeks. These seem like these were so long ago, and these were like recent. These were like just
I have a couple of notes,
few short weeks ago.
Because again, if you're new to FOTMcast, the Wrapped segment is the long one, and then they're much shorter.
Yeah.
Because so this is why it's going so long.
Filter downwards.
But I just want to give a shout out to the second visit from David Marsden, because Marsden dropped by. He looked great. The long hair was flowing.
Good luck.
And we got a long one-on-one chat. He shared some like untold John Lennon story.
Spicy John Lennon story.
Yeah. which I actually carved out and made a YouTube video that got shared amongst like some like Lennon heads, some Beatle heads.
He was slightly mean.
A few of those you might, he was mean about blind people. But David Marsden, I mean, this is like we talk about the living legends who walk amongst us, and David Marsden's one of them. Like, and he was happy to be back to share more.
Yeah,
and
still creating content.
Yeah,
God,
he's in his
God
80s
bless.
now.
Yeah,
and he was amazing.
Inspiration.
So I loved my David Marsden episode. I do want to shout out Gare Joyce because this whole this thing where I found on his Substack this audio piece called "The Fall of '87," and we're all similar vintage.
Yeah.
1987 Blue Jays story, even saying those words, it's like, it's haunting, right?
Yeah.
And this was a great documentary piece that was dropped in a Rogers podcast, but then was deleted at some point. I think because it uses music that's unlicensed, but it was eventually deleted for whatever
$2.99 Queen.
Which apparently is imminent, the dropping of
we'll
$2.99
see.
Queen. We'll see. But Gare Joyce, I said, hey, Gare, can I just drop this in my feed? And Gare wanted to confirm with the producer, who's no longer with Sportsnet, like what he thought about it. Bottom line is, I dropped it in the fucking feed. In the fall of '87, I had nothing to do with it. But I just dropped it in its entirety, and it's fantastic. And it's a shame that, we talked about parts of the internet being deleted.
Yeah.
That thing was gone.
Yeah.
It was really good.
You've done this with, like, I feel like some CFNY content, kind of again.
I do it
public
because
service.
I'm trying, and I mean, Spotify spanks me and removes it, but I don't care.
And nobody from the Red Company reached out to you about this?
I never heard a word from Rogers about the fall of '87 being in the Toronto Mike feed.
Good.
So you mentioned Chantal Kraviajic, personal highlight. I just want to say the Rob Nash episode was interesting to me. I thought he was great.
He was great.
He was right after the Ralph Benmergui, Brent Bambury episode that you talked about, where I got the heck out of the way. Andy Kim came by, and always interesting with Andy, but I'm going to play a clip of something Andy said. This is Andy Kim on Toronto Mic'd. Oh, I got to do it again because I see it's way down in the mix here. Okay, let's bring that up. Let's do that again. Okay.
I'm going to go on record as you're the only one that I've ever spoken to that just gets it all. And I feel so comfortable just talking about anything with you. Sometimes, you know, you're there and you're having a conversation with someone, and it's preordained. They've asked the question,
right?
They've written the question, and
right.
You know. So, how tall are you today? You know that one. You know. And I still remember our photos. I got up this morning, and I knew that I had to do television and do all that kind of stuff. But I kept thinking about you, because here I'm relaxed. I'm not thinking about, okay, is the camera angle good? Is it not good? Is this going to be... I just knew that you'd be in a good mood.
So kind words from Andy Kim, and I took them to heart. I was very honored and flattered, and that was another episode I thoroughly enjoyed from the fourth quarter of 2024. And because it's gone on long enough, unless you have anything to say about it.
I was just going to say, I almost put him and like Chantel in the bucket. Like, these are people like deep into like show business too, but clearly came down here and just roll with the punches and have the affection, really into it. You know,
3 times I think he's been down here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was awesome. And I know Tyler alluded to it off the top, but I was, even though I didn't do it for any money, I was really honored that I was asked to moderate this panel at the Red Room of the concert hall, with the Gary Top book coming out. And I did, when I got the list of panelists, I said, oh, this guy's been on, but these people haven't been on. And I just basically did my best to get them on before the panel. I think that's why the panel worked. I knew all their stories inside out because they'd all been in this basement for long form conversations. So it wasn't just Gary Top and Gary Cormier, but it was Colin Brunton. And of course it was Jeff Silverman, and, you know, Ivor Hamilton's been over about a dozen times probably, but I was honored to be asked, and I did my best, and you can hear that in the feed. It's episode 1599, and that was this past quarter. So a lot of interesting conversations from the fourth quarter of 2024. Oh, and Talia Schlanger, just a shout out.
Yeah,
I liked her.
She was super cool.
Very cool, very cool. All right, now, did you want to go to the next segment?
Let's do it. Let's move to the next segment.
Go.
It's Midtown Gord. Where's he?
Well, he's a Lee Aaron guy.
Oh, I thought this was... Oh, right. This isn't Lee Aaron.
Biles.
Biles.
Right.
Shout out to Christopher Ward.
Redacted.
And it all comes back to Stephen Stone if you talk Christopher Ward here. But Forgotten CanCon, now I have one from each of you. So do I just play the Cam one and then we talk about that,
Cam.
then we do Tyler? Is that cool? All right, this is the song. Again, I haven't heard this. I just got a link to a YouTube page and then I converted it to MP3. Yeah. So here is Cam Gordon's Forgotten CanCon.
So that's No Doubt.
That's not No Doubt.
It does sound like very...
Because it has to be CanCon.
No. Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, this is actually... we've talked about this band before, 1 to 1.
Oh,
you remember Angel in My Pocket, and they had another song in one of the other CanCon episodes, but this song is like... I didn't realize this was also 1 to 1. And I feel like we need a term for this. Because I was going through looking for options. I heard this. I'm like, oh my God, this sounds like No Doubt. And I thought I was maybe the first person to think about this.
She does sound like Gwen Stefani.
You go on like YouTube, everyone's saying, oh my God, it sounds like No Doubt or something. Yeah. So similar to like Dick Van Dyke, Penis Von Lesbian. I remember thinking of that in the 90s and thinking, oh, I was the first person to ever think of this. Then you Google, it's like everyone.
Well, Mary Tyler Moore said it on a big talk show.
So there needs to be an expression for that. But this song came out in 1985.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is a complete blind spot to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm listening. I mean, I don't remember hearing this. If I
So
heard it,
you don't know this, Tyler? Do you know this?
I do not know that. I know 1 to 1. I know Angel in My Pocket, but
Yeah.
I don't know this one.
And 1 to 1
This is
also saying
85?
"Hold me now, hold me now."
That's
I want to
Thompson
hear.
Twins.
Not,
All right. Hold
that.
me now.
Yeah.
Oh, hold my heart.
So yeah, this was a pretty big hit in Canada. This was, I
Really?
think, a top 40
Let
hit.
me give it a bit like.
Yeah. The chorus.
You know what it sounds a bit like? Like a little Bananarama-esque.
Yeah.
What's
it's
this
good.
song called?
There was a time.
There was a time.
So this was a hit in Canada?
So a hit, not just in Canada, in the U.S. too. This was like a minor hit in the U.S.
Hit number 92.
In 85,
Yeah.
I'm listening to a lot of 680s CFTR.
This was definitely on CF. If anyone's in the chat remembers this, I thought this was like quite a popular song. I was debating,
You know
is
what?
this even
Moose Grumpy's
forgotten?
in that chat because Moose Grumpy says, "Hey, don't forget my prize-winning tape measure."
I was gonna say, well, Moose Grumpy, she'll remember this.
Okay,
let's remember some
I gotta
jams.
say, you're great at these forgotten CanCon because I completely forgot
Yeah.
that episode. By the way, Andrew Ward's in the chat and he says Talia Schlanger was his favorite episode of 2024. YYZ Gord,
go.
by the way, remembers it.
Okay.
J-Ho remembers it. So me and Tyler not remembering that.
I tried to find
Moose
this.
has heard that song.
This feels like something like Wise Blood could like tell us in like
Oh, I'm
2
sure.
seconds.
Yeah.
But I feel like this
Why
was
isn't
in
he on the live stream?
I feel like this was in
What's
a
he got going
commercial,
on?
like a Just Say No to Drugs type commercial or something, or on a
Oh,
TV
interesting.
show or something.
Huh.
So anyway, if anyone knows, everyone's heard this
Well,
song.
if you can find the singer of that song, I'll put her on Toronto Mike.
Well,
and we'll do a deep dive.
You could. Her name is what's her name? Louise Rennie. And again, we went through this on past episodes. So this band later became Sal's Birdland, and then later a band that we did here on CFNY Not, Artificial Joy Club, had a song called "Sick and Beautiful" or "Sick but Beautiful." Do you remember this?
Not yet. I'll get Scott Turner.
Sort
on
of in
mine
the
too.
same, like when Joy Drop came out, and then there's
Well, that song
Artificial
was called
Joy Club.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But we're also one of the few Canadian bands to play at the original Lollapalooza tour.
That's amazing.
Yeah, alongside FOTM, James B., who famously
shit.
said he was on the tour even though he just played like one show in Barrie, and also the Tea Party in one day.
Did
they
you see
played in
James
Quebec
B
City.
had a GoFundMe so he could kind of recover from an ailment?
Yeah,
I
he seems
missed
like
that.
he's in the country somewhere or something.
A remander that how precarious the lives of these Canadian artists are. Like, like we have. I know this because I had a hospital stay recently. They didn't send me an invoice. Like I pay for my blood thinners, but the whole doctors and the neurologist I was seeing and the hematologist I was seeing and still see, they don't invoice me because of OHIP.
Right.
Like, so it's wild to me, these Canadian artists in Canada, that they're so precarious that there's GoFundMe.
Yeah, like we got James. Who's the 640 guy? Stafford? Was it
Mike Stafford's is a different thing
That's a
because he
bit-
didn't get severance when he got fired.
Right.
And he did a poor job of saving his money.
Yeah, but regardless, like he's out, he needs some help.
Right.
But there was just this story about this former MPP who's like living like it's just.
I think he was a city
I don't know.
councillor.
Was it?
Wasn't he a city councillor?
I think he was, and I think he worked in like some MPP's
Is that
office.
okay?
Yeah.
But I did hear this story.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like these are the people, like they seem like they're famous, they're big deal. We see them on TV, hear them on the radio.
But they're an ailment. They're a heart condition away from needing public support, GoFundMe.
Yeah, especially in Canada, like nobody's that famous. No, this isn't unless you're Chantal Kraviachek or the
Bob
Nelvana
McCowan,
guy or
maybe.
someone here or Bob McCowan.
Yeah, nobody's living off their
This happened
residuals.
to any of us, really. It's
John
just like a good
Derringer,
reminder.
maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there was a time 1-1. And just a final comment. This band was from Ottawa, and again, we went through this in the past episode. Louise Rennie and Leslie Howe, the two signature people in this band, were very instrumental in getting Alanis Morissette to transition from kind of the dance pop queen to sort of the Alanis
Never
Morissette
too
we all
hot,
know.
never too cold.
Exactly. And then the last piece of content I saw with Louise Rennie.
You know, Alanis Morissette was living in the GA building. Did you catch that nugget? In the GA
I
episode?
thought and like Tom Green was in there too.
Oh, maybe it was.
I think it was Tom
Tom
Green.
Green.
Why did my brain?
I
you know
get
why?
them mixed
Ottawa
up too.
celebrities.
Yeah.
I made a joke about Alanis maybe, and they goofed because the guy was very sarcastic.
Yeah.
And he probably went with it as a joke. But in the moment of these like real talk fact gatherings, I can't have jokes. I need real facts.
Right.
And I think I made the joke, and he went with it, and then it went in my brain as a fact.
Okay.
It was Tom
So
Green.
it's
My apologies.
Bit of the
to
Mandela effect.
It was
there.
Tom Green. It was Tom Green, everybody.
Anyway, the last piece of content I could find with Louise Rennie was from 2021, a segment on CBC News. I don't know if you guys ever spent much time in Ottawa, but she was in a segment about the closing of I don't know if you say how you say this, Zaphoid Beetlebrox?
Oh, Zaphod Beeblebrock.
Yeah, kind of like their version of like Lee's Palace.
It was in Byward Market.
Byward Market,
Yeah.
that closed a couple of years ago. So she was just talking with One-to-One was coming up. She played there. Tom Green was in the same segment. The Booker. It was kind of interesting. A bit of
that is
local
interesting,
content
and I
from
have a
Ottawa.
name of this counselor who has fallen on hard times. His name is Lorenzo Berardinetti, right? A good Irish guy.
Oh, wow.
And he's a counselor that awarded Mike Myers with his street sign in Scarborough.
Yeah, which I think Mike Myers cried at that. I remember, like he was quite like emotional.
I could see
when
that.
I got that. Yeah.
You know, he cried when Nikolai Borchevsky tipped that puck.
Didn't
That's
we all?
Osgood, right?
He's apparently a prickly
That was
dude.
Tim Shovelday.
Tim Shovelday. Good memory. And in the big quote afterwards, because I tell my oldest all the time, unbelievable.
Yeah. In the Passion Continues
I have that
VHS
on
cassette.
VHS around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Passion
We'll watch it
Returns.
after. We'll get the kids. They'll love
we
it.
should record ourselves watching the
With
Passion
Damien
Returns.
Cox with hair.
Oh my God, like a watch along of that would be like
Let's make that
incredible.
happen in 2025.
Yes, let's
and
do
write
that.
this down,
Yeah.
Tyler. Okay, so yes, Lorenzo Berardinetti fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
All right, and that's a great CanCon that was forgotten by me, even though everyone else seemed to remember it. But I got Tyler.
Yeah.
He's got a forgotten CanCon, so let's listen to this one. I feel I should talk up the intro. It's
Let's get
minus
Steve Ryan
5
over
degrees.
here. This is
here
a
in,
Steve Ryan jam
Toronto.
for sure.
Yeah, he would fucking love this song. Yeah, be careful out there. Oh.
She thinks she's gonna change the world. Puts it down on paper. Sends it to no one. Leslie gets a phone call.
Anything?
Not yet.
Tells her that it's over. Wipe the stars
I need a chorus. I need a chorus.
It's coming.
I need a chorus.
Talking survival. Jimmy loves Marianne.
Kind of yacht rocky.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Wait a minute. It's not Joni Loves Chachi, is it? Is this a theme song from Joni Loves Chachi? Why was he Gordon watching Cam on the live stream trying to come up with this fucking song?
Running fast and going nowhere.
So you know this song?
I got nothing.
Is it a Hamilton guy or something?
No, well, there's a Hamilton connection to this.
Of course, that's why you know it.
Yeah.
All right, tell me. I
This
don't
guy
know it.
Crowbar.
All right. So, not to step on Cam's toes, this is his bread and butter, but this song has been banging around in my head for about 40 years, and it comes to the front of my mind every once in a while. So, I thought maybe by talking about it, I could just get it out of my head forever.
Yeah, do it.
So, this is
That's what we're here for.
This is The Haunting by a Toronto band called The Front.
Not to be confused with Popular Front,
Not
which becomes
Lowest of the Low. Exactly. No.
Yeah.
So, Tim Thorney, who's a name that might ring a
Ian
bell.
Thornley.
No.
Totally
Tim
wrong.
Thorney.
Yeah.
And Joel Feeney were the primary guys in the band.
Feeney.
Mr. Feeney.
So this song
from
was
Boy Meets World.
Boy Meets World, exactly.
We're
Who was
supposed
the
to say
voice?
it's a word association.
Who was the voice of Kit?
Yeah, exactly.
In Knight Rider,
Yeah.
which I
Right.
fucking love.
So here's another word association for it.
Because he
This,
kept saying Michael, and I'm a Michael.
this song was written by Tim Thorney and Paul Henderson.
Scores for Canada.
So not that Paul Henderson or the other Paul Henderson. This is a different Paul Henderson.
Third.
Yeah. So Paul Henderson didn't really do much beyond this. Tim Thorney died in 2022. You talked about this actually with 1236 when he died. And he brought a different front jam to the show.
Okay.
So he was a songwriter. He wrote a number of songs with Lisa Del Bello in the early
Let's
80s.
Tango. Yes. She was at Tane.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Tane again in a minute also.
And she sang you're going to have the Stephen Stone fact.
No,
that
no,
She
no.
sang the theme song to the Next Generation
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah, that's
Degrassi.
right.
That's a mind blow.
It is a mind blow. So Tim Thorney also co-produced an album for Jimmy Rankin. He also co-produced So-Called Chaos for Alanis Morissette in 2004.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Order from Chaos, which is a great Kiss
So
album.
that was like her last dance pop album?
No, this is 2004.
04, dude.
This is like
Jagged Little
2004,
Pill
right?
90s, man.
Okay, sorry. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God. What year is it?
What's going on?
Yeah.
You're like that
Carry on.
Robin Williams character.
Joel Feeney was another guy who bounced around as a songwriter. He put out a couple albums of his own. He's written songs by Billy Newton Davis.
Whoa. FOTM.
By Starship, by Leanne Rimes.
Sounds like music by guys who might perm their pubes. That's a Jeremy Hopkins line.
Wow.
You know what? Can I
We're
say
working blue in
2024
the
is the
chat.
year that gave us Jeremy Hopkins on the
Yes,
live stream.
thank God.
I
And
won't
by-
do live streams without him.
By the way, Jeremy, I saw your comment earlier. I did love the Halloween Ghost Story episode of that you and Mike did. So the front were on Duke Street Records, which was a Toronto indie label that's come up a few times. Art Bergman was on Duke Street.
Absolutely.
Chalk Circle.
Jane Siberry, yeah. Elsa? What's her name?
Elsa.
So Duke Street was only in operation for about 10 years. It shut down in 1994 and was absorbed by Universal Music.
Of course.
It was founded by
Ivor
a guy.
Hamilton absorbed it.
That's right. It was founded by a guy named Andy Hermant, who, of note to this crowd, was also the founder of Manta Sound.
I'm gonna fall off my
Oh my
chair.
God.
I
Which
can't feel, I
God?
don't.
I know
tears
what's
are not
coming.
enough.
I know what's coming.
A certain track called "Tears Are Not Enough"
I
was
can't
recorded
believe
at
I can't
Manta
believe
Sound.
the words that Tyler's
So,
saying right now.
It gets better.
Just
It can't get
stop
better. I
the
don't
live
feel
stream.
well. I
Let's
don't
just
feel
go
Tyler.
home.
I don't feel well.
Kill the lights.
So the front put out two albums, one in 83, one in
I'm out.
84.
Of course they did.
The Haunting doesn't appear on either of them. It was just a single that came out in 83, but it got a ton of radio play on my station at the time, which was CKOC in Hamilton.
Yeah, you and Rob Proust.
Yeah. So the other guy who is a critical link to Tane is this guy named Haywood Parrott, and he was a studio engineer who worked at Manta Sound.
Okay.
He was one of the engineers on Tane, and he's playing keys on that song,
Thank God.
The Haunting, by The Front. So it all comes
You know
back to
what?
Tane.
Just like Kevin Shea, it was a long way to get
Yeah.
there, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
Shout
Right?
out to The Front. Shout out to The Haunting.
So it sounds like these guys could have easily, been the Uncle Bobby to network as, they might have been off camera. Or
Yeah.
off-
They were in the
off
room
mic. Yeah.
while Neil Young was like
That's right.
talking
Feasible.
to
Yeah.
All those famous moments.
So there's another guy you got to get in 2025 is Andy Hermant, the Duke Street Records guy.
Okay, send me the note. I'm all now at this point. It's like I got to collect these guys. No one's talking to that are important.
Is Duke Street the one who something to do with Weird Al Yankovic too?
No,
What
that's
am I
Attic
thinking
Records.
of? Attic.
Attic,
Okay, right.
Al Mayer.
Yeah, which was also Maestro.
And his partner also died that same year, I believe, Williams.
Right.
Tough year for Attic. But that's where Kevin Shea worked. Because Kevin
Attic.
Shea was
Oh,
at
God.
Attic.
Oh, my
He was
God.
shepherding around Weird Al Yankovic and a certain FOTM, who I won't say more about, but Weird Al had an appointment with her every time he visited. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
yeah.
There's an FOTM who I guess I can say it without saying her name, but there's an FOTM who was a lover of Weird Al. And when Weird Al would come to Toronto, because Attic Records would distribute his albums in Canada, he'd come to Toronto for the press and do Al TV and all that shit on Much Al. What was it? Al Music.
Al Music.
On MTV it was Al TV, but here was, and I love
fake interviews.
Love that very much. But Kevin Shea would be like the babysitter for Weird Al, and part of that was making sure there was time with this FOTM.
10:30.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to remind me off.
I'll tell you.
I remember you
afterwards.
told me this before.
Yeah, I'll tell you afterwards. Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Okay, that was awesome, Tyler. Honestly, I'm glad
Thank you for
you're on
indulging
board.
me.
Maybe one
Yeah.
day I'll also contribute a forgotten.
I'm like
hand
verklempt,
on,
like after hearing all this.
It's all. It's
It's
a
a
lot.
lot.
Okay, but
It's a
yeah,
lot.
Attic Records. Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home, Al Mayer, but he died last year, not this year. So,
He's dead.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. Love it.
WikiLeaks.
A week like okay.
A nation turns its lonely eyes. To
Yeah,
Van
we
Gordon.
can go through these pretty quickly because we've actually touched on a few of these. How far into this episode are we, by the way?
I think we just hit the 2-hour mark.
We're at the 2-hour mark. I can't believe it took 2 hours for the name Mike Bullard
Oh my God.
to show up.
He did come up with Ed Keenan yesterday.
Yeah, so
Like he mentioned him organically.
yeah. So like again, someone we lost in the last quarter. Sort of
Not an FOTM.
an EOTM, as it were. Complicated guy. I mean, interesting legacy.
Did you
Obviously
ever meet
had-
him?
Well, I actually went to 2 tapings of his show. I went mainly to see the bands. I once went because Guided by Voices was on, and I once saw the Dandy Warhols.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was fun. You know, it was in that same building where you did the panel. You know, in that
888
Young Street. Yeah,
yeah, the concert hall.
Yeah, it was quite. I saw like Orin.
888 actually has several names, by the way. Rock Pile,
Concert Hall,
Masonic Temple. I don't know. I was in the Red Room.
It was like the tech startup thing? Like you probably know this, like Info Hub or something.
Yeah.
I feel like there's still an element, but it was like quite the setup there. You guys never saw the Mike Bullard show?
I went once.
I did not see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you go?
Because my friend liked the band, The Soundtrack of Our Lives, the Swedish band.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One hit.
Sister Surround.
Sister Surround. They
that was
played
a good
that.
jam.
Yeah.
But buddies with the Oasis guys.
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
Definitely did some partying.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever go? I went to see a couple of episodes of Jonovision too.
Oh.
Did you guys ever see that?
I never went.
No, I watched it on television when they had Degrassi reunions. Because I felt too old for Jonovision. I felt too old for Jonovision. Like it was clearly aiming at a younger crowd, like you and Stu.
Yeah.
And when I would learn about the OG Degrassi crew, I'm like,
Totally.
oh, I got to watch this with Andy.
Well, I
didn't know yet.
I do feel like that reunion was, and I feel like Linda Schuler, whoever Kit Hood is, R.E.P., has talked about. I feel like that episode was actually part of like the new generation and the reboot of.
And you're telling me
Degrassi.
Steven Stone is going to come up in this episode?
He's actually not. Well, he actually has already come up.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm really straying from Mike Bullard here, but point is, I actually tried to be the one to have the official death announcement of Mike Bullard.
Oh yeah.
But then I remember, Mike, I think you were kind of the first person to report it.
I had a source, an FOTM, who told me his buddy in some kind of law services or something had told him Mike Bullard was found dead. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And I had this like little bit of moment of like relief, which I think I talked about on this show.
You sort of had the Otani's on the airplane moment. Do I go live with this?
And then I was like, I don't want to break that story just in case or whatever. I don't want to be the guy who said Bullard, my EOTM there, is dead if he's not dead or whatever. So I held on to it for a bit.
Sorry,
I held on to it, but I told you guys.
I remember this very clearly. It was Saturday night.
Source. Yeah,
it was late on Saturday night.
Yeah.
It was almost, you know, the Cure song, like 10:15 on Saturday night. It was almost around that time.
Right.
I remember you had it and you tweeted out and it
Well, eventually I confirmed it with a few there's an FOTM who does comedy tours with him, and I checked in with a couple. And then once I had
unlike Norman DaCosta, you get multiple sources before you go live
Norman
with something.
DaCosta.
Yeah.
So I had multiple sources tell me Bullard was dead, so I tweeted it.
Yeah,
but again, I didn't tweet it with. I didn't want to put any like happiness on it because you know I literally just said just the facts, and I think I said something like, Mike Bullard passed away earlier today. Like that, and then people read into it what they would, because a lot of people kind of read glee into it, but there was no, like, it was just Mike Bullard passed away earlier today.
Yeah.
So you're reading that because you know what I wrote about and said about Mike Bullard in the past. Which he made my life a living hell for a good long time in the summer of 2022.
Well, just a few days ago, we had a similar situation where Dave Winfield put on Instagram a photo of him and Ricky Anderson, and we're like, oh shit, is this true? You know, sort of Toronto Mike Bullard, Ricky Anderson, Dave Winfield, sort of different genres, obviously. But I actually went in and updated that Bullard had died, but then when it wasn't confirmed, I actually took it out and I deleted it because it's, again, they don't allow you to like source social media because it took a few hours.
Yeah, like
for
if
this
your
to be
only source
reported.
is a tweet from Toronto Mike, then they're gonna rip it down. But
And again, like I think your tweet was Saturday night, and then by like early the next morning, it was confirmed. I think Canadian Press wrote about it.
I was definitely the first on like Twitter, but funny because that
100%.
wasn't that long ago. But I would go to Twitter to put that. But today, I don't put any original content on Twitter anymore. Like I really dislike the place, and I pop in once a day to see if I have any DMs. And then check if I have any mentions. Just somebody's going to ask me a question.
Like from what I recall, it was Toronto Mike and then some like comedians had started like tweeting or been on social media. And then I think David Friend and maybe some other people.
But it was overwhelmingly like positive, I remember. Because I would see people are just like, what a great guy.
Yeah, he was really nice to me.
Really nice
supportive.
to me and whatever. And I'm like sitting there like, okay, like I wasn't going to post I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah.
My life is better that he's...
Save that for FOTMcast.
I was like, I'll save that for FOTMcast.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and like we don't need to rehash all the stuff with Cynthia Mulligan and whatnot that was not that long ago. So again, I'll just say it one more time: complicated guy, but yeah, this is
But
someone
he didn't
we
die
lost.
this last quarter, did he?
No, we talked about it in Q3 as well.
Cam seems to think it happened last quarter. That's why he's got
Oh, is
that.
it? I said October 13th. Is it?
We talked
Is
about
it
it.
last? No, I thought
we talked about it in Q3.
Well, we did it late though. Maybe that's why.
Oh,
'Cause
that's probably why.
Because Cam kept globetrotting.
Yeah. That's probably why.
I don't know. Like Oh,
Is it
I see.
October?
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so this is why we need to do these episodes.
Yeah.
like-
That's what I
okay.
say. We need to do it closer to the end of the quarter.
Okay, God, we
That's what
just
happens.
chewed up like 5
Because I don't want to
minutes.
No,
wait
it's good.
on,
I mean-
because people pass away and we talk about it right away. We're not going to hold on to it for a quarter.
Okay.
Whatever.
Anyway, a few more Wikipedia updates. This one came from my new friend Robert Lawson. I got to hang out at Popper's Pub a few weeks ago and spent some time with Robert. To
Who
get
also
some-
had an episode in Q4 of 2020.
Well, he did, and from that episode, he talked about his latest Randy Bachman fact check. This TikTok video we all saw. Randy Bachman saying they were invited to play Woodstock the day before, and they were in Chicago in this custom built studio,
right,
for the Guess Who and blah blah blah. And then I believe it was Robert went to Burton Cummings and said, "Did this happen?" Burton Cummings like, "Nope, that didn't happen." And
Right.
there's probably, I'm sure there's like a kernel of truth. I think this is the thing Randy Bachman does. There's probably a kernel of truth in a lot of this stuff. That's getting spun into these yarns. So anyway, that update from that episode from Toronto Mike and
I remember
Robert.
Steppenwolf was invited to play
Yeah,
Woodstock.
yeah, and the wiki. So this one, I put this right on the Wikipedia entry for Woodstock. It's quite interesting where you see sort of the list of like acts allegedly were invited. You have everyone from like Tommy James and the Shondells and Joni Mitchell famously. That one I could believe.
Her,
and Bob
her
Dylan.
agent told her to do a talk show.
I think it was like Dick Cavett.
Dick
yeah.
Cavett, right.
But, you know, like those. Oh,
But she wrote the definitive
The Beatles
song.
are going to reunite, and like the Doors, and
On that note, by the way, I read that Stephen Stills turned 80 years old today.
I did see that.
Happy birthday.
See that.
It all comes together here.
Yeah.
I just want to say Robert Lawson was episode 1570, and there's one more. I know this is from Wrapped, but I just got to shout out the return of Stephen Brunt, who came by, and he sat down here for episode 1567 and was very Brunty. Like,
We
I
love
think
Brunt.
it was like I had the
Yeah,
Marsden,
that's a good
then we
episode.
did FOTMcast, and then we had the Brunt, and it was a great.
He's just
I think,
always very solid, very
Always delivers.
great chat.
yeah, he's wonderful. Despite what I've heard from another FOTM, but he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
And just three more quickies here. This one I don't think was really based on Toronto Mike, but I actually totally rewrote this past quarter the entire Wikipedia entry for the new music.
Oh wow!
I just noticed it was like really short, so I spent like a couple hours, and you can go look at it if you care. But if you're listening, so you probably do care. So go take a look at that. A lot of
Wow.
Rosie Gray Dio content. We talked about Uncle Bobby. And I only had one run-in with the Wiki Police this quarter. Again, this one has nothing to do with Toronto Mike. This one is like really obscure, so I'm not surprised this got ding. I said, God, this is so dumb. The first album by the Stooges, the self-titled album, and then an album by the Stranglers called Black and White. Both were visible in, I just mentioned this band with Mike Bullard. The video for the song, the official Iron Man's Rally song by Guided by Voices. There's one scene you can see both those albums. I said it's featured in that video, Wikipedia update. In the Stooges album, the Wiki Police took it out, said this is not relevant, which are probably right, in fairness, but the Stranglers they left in for whatever reason.
What are they saving bytes?
I don't know.
Well,
Like
not
I
relevant.
honestly, like it's annoying, but I'm like when they killed my Harry Forbes entry, which is brutal. But I'm glad they do it. I'm glad there's like oversight to this, and it's like they in their opinion, it's like, hey, your site, go for it. So
All right,
anyway,
now-
long
now-
live Wikipedia. It's great.
We're moving on to the next segment, right? Because I got the Wrapped.
Yeah.
I just want to say the Stephen Stone episode. I know. I thought we were gonna come. It was gonna come up later.
Yeah, I know.
You sort of
It
made me
should've.
think it was gonna come up later. So
I did.
You
I misled
me,
you.
and you listened back.
Yeah.
And it was Stephen Stone was right after Stu Stone.
That's
who,
right.
who we'll talk about later.
Segue.
But there's a lot of fun facts and mind blows about Stone, who of course is married to Linda Schuler, and she created Degrassi. So a lot of we talked about the Del Bello singing the theme song. He wrote that theme song. He was writing yacht rock songs and more with Christopher Ward.
Yeah.
It's all kind of like
I forget, was he a lawyer by? Because he had a
he's a
book.
lawyer. He's
and
an
he had a book-
entertainment lawyer.
He had a book
Yeah.
too, like he said he wrote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great episode.
like a lot of facts, and it was like, so we had Stu Stone, then Stephen Stone,
Different spelling.
And then one different spelling. And then I just thought it was interesting that Tyler earlier talked about the kind of the festive annual episodes, but we didn't mention that, and Tyler's a big part of this, the Dave Hodge 100.
Yes.
Every year for several years now, and part of that is a website, hodge100.com, and you're the webmaster.
I am the webmaster.
I don't know if you can use that term anymore.
I think you can for something like this.
Look out Ian Service.
Yeah, every year I update it
cool.
with his new lists.
And Dave's really appreciative.
Yeah,
of
hey.
the Tyler Campbell.
Yeah, I love the shout out from Dave Hodge.
contribution.
Yeah, young Tyler would be.
And this time he
blown
did
away.
it in person. We did a bunch in a row. He had a sick sister who sadly passed away, but he didn't want to catch any cooties from me and bring it to his sister. So he did a bunch in a row remotely, but he made the trek from Grimsby.
Yeah.
And we did
Love
it in
it.
person, and
Yeah,
it was
no,
good to
always-
see that guy.
always
He's
great to
turning
see.
80. He's turning 80.
Wow.
Much like Stephen Stills.
Yeah.
He's turning 80. Later this year. So,
God,
and
like-
one last guy. Oh,
Yeah.
I know you Cam, you're in mid sentence there. Here,
No, I was just gonna say, like, another guy like Richard Flohill is like in his 90s and still going to, what do you say, like 50 concerts or like,
he was out
just-
till 5 a.m. or whatever.
Oh my
before,
God.
he recorded.
Like I'm like
Remembering
47
David
and like I
I
get
can't do
tired.
it. Yeah.
I can't stand. Yeah.
And I will shout out one more here, Mark Marilanen.
Oh yeah, he was really good.
Because he was delivering the real talk on the Buffy St. Marie, and it was good to get an Indigenous man's perspective on all these things.
Absolutely.
And I appreciated his candid conversation there. All right, I have another stinger because the great Tyler did all this work here. Let me see. Here we go.
Breaking the law, 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 breaking the law. So much for the golden future. I can't
Breaking the law.
Now this is for Midtown Gord.
This is for Midtown Gord.
If he hasn't fallen asleep, he was here at the beginning.
Breaking the law, fact checks. This is in honor of the great Robert Lawson, who I stopped by his Cloverdale store in Q4. I bought a couple of books from him. It was great to see him in his
Sunrise.
At Sunrise Records, exactly.
In his environment.
Yeah, in his native environment, and it's funny. He had these books for me. They were all ready to go, and there's customers, and they're sort of asking him questions, and he's totally focused on me, giving me his books, and it's like, get out of here, customer.
Yeah.
This guy's buying 2 books from me.
He's a Buddhist. Give him.
Yeah, exactly. We
Very
love
zen.
Robert Lawson.
Very zen.
You know, I love Robert Lawson, but that reminds me of one of Zweig's greatest beefs ever was the way that Lawson went at Randy Bachman.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I
that
think
was-
a couple people were.
I should have put Zweig and Lawson on the mics
yeah.
together. I wish
Fireworks.
I could relive that
God.
moment.
Yeah,
but yeah,
maybe in 2025.
I like
Do you think
Robert.
Zweig will come back?
That
Oh, he'll
like
be back.
he does not suffer fools, Robert Lawson. That's
No.
sort of the impression I get.
And his visit, of course, we got to shout out because I love The Sopranos so much. Cam, have you ever seen The Sopranos?
Twice. I watched the entire.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had the DVDs, like everything.
Okay, good man. Now, Tyler, have you seen The Sopranos?
Yes, I've seen most of The Sopranos.
Okay, the reason I'm bringing it up because Silvio, the right hand man. Do you know who plays Silvio?
Stevie
Van Zandt.
Van Zandt.
Right. So that was the subject matter when Robert Lawson visited this past quarter with
Absolutely.
little Stevie, who
Yeah.
I saw.
I was gonna say you went to see the boss.
I'm
right?
still like, I don't know how to explain this.
You did a whole
'cause
episode about it.
I did a whole Yeah, one of the episodes this past quarter was me talking about the future of rock and roll. Bruce
I've
Springsteen.
seen.
I gotta say, like, I'm still kind of affected by that night. I don't know how to explain it other than you have to kind of be there. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I went over 5 decades without ever seeing Bruce Springsteen live.
Yeah.
And kind of wondering, like, okay, whatever, guy. Whatever, boomer. Was it okay, boomer? And then I fucking saw Bruce Springsteen live, and I'm still
You're a
kind of
believer.
I gotta say,
Wow.
I'm all in on this
Okay.
this young New Jersey guy.
Yeah.
Bruce this I'm all in.
Like what be like a track or two that like really stuck with you?
Songs
Just
I had
like-
never heard before are sticking with me. Remember, this
Wow.
is the night after the election, so I don't know what that played a role.
right, yeah.
But he said he said we're going to start with a living prayer for my country. This is in
Right.
that episode. I have the audio.
Yeah.
And then this song I didn't even know,
Streets of Philadelphia.
which haunted me. No, you did nothing like that. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like none of the soundtrack. You didn't do Dead Man Walking,
Right,
or Streets of
Goes
Philadelphia.
to Tom Joad.
Very little.
You were
from,
screaming "Dead Man Walking" the whole time.
Totally. I love Dead Man Walking.
It's a good
There's a
jam.
pale horse coming,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna ride. I like that movie. I'm a big Sean Penn fan.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not just Spicoli.
Remember, yeah.
Not just Spicoli. You ever see that movie?
He had like a bad goatee,
Did Grandma
right?
let you see that?
I was going to movies on my own at Fairview Mall by that time.
Well, no, it's like we're talking pretty early. No, you were too young.
Dead Man Walking?
No.
Fast Times.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Like you were too young to see it
never seen it.
without
No,
parental. You couldn't see it. There were boobs in there.
That's with what's her name?
Phoebe Cates.
Phoebe Cates,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Jennifer Jason Leigh. Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Spicoli, right?
Spicoli. Like this is
Judge
your
Reinhold. Yeah.
Judge Reinhold. Yeah, you're naming them all.
Yeah.
Forrest
Ray
Whitaker's
Walston.
in this thing.
Ray
Nicolas
Walston.
Cage is in this thing briefly as Nicholas Coppola.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just everybody's in this fucking movie, and it's fantastic.
By the way, I saw an interesting fun fact about The Sopranos. Apparently, well, she wouldn't have been that young, but like Lady Gaga's.
Yeah, she's in an episode.
Yes.
Yeah, but like one of AJ's like friends or something.
And her name, ready for this? Stephanie Germanotta.
Stephanie Germanotta. Okay.
There you go. I'm full of the fun facts.
Anyway, you guys knew that one.
Have you guys seen Joker 2?
No, I've not
seen
not
any-
yet seen
any
it.
of
No,
that
I haven't
shit.
seen it yet. I'm told to avoid it
Do not
at
care.
all costs. Shout out to Lady Gaga.
Oh, she's.
Yeah, she's in it. Like she stars in it.
That's right.
Joaquin
Whatever.
Phoenix. And you remember where you were when you heard River Phoenix was dead, right?
No.
It was a big death for me,
Yeah.
River Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't
'cause
remember where I was.
The Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade
Yeah.
was a personal
Yeah,
favorite.
well, Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Like the Viper
And-
Room.
Viper Room.
Whereas
Yeah.
Stand By
Yeah.
Me.
Johnny Depp.
Jesus. Yeah. Stand By Me.
Generational talent.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, Joaquin Phoenix. Shout out to Gladiator 2, where I went to see because David Kine sent me.
Oh,
and I
yes.
brought some FOTMs with me, like Leslie Taylor and
Yeah.
Lieve Fumka.
Oh,
Lovely morning at the movies.
I had popcorn at 10 a.m. or something.
Cute.
It was amazing.
Beautiful.
Love
Beautiful.
All right. Any more laws broken?
Oh, so many laws. This was a bad quarter for you, Mike. I got to say. I've got a few quick
Let me
hits.
crack another Great Lakes before I hear about this.
Got a few quick hits, and then I have a clip. I'm
going to fix this in post.
Yeah, of course. So on the Chantel Kreviazuk episode, Mike said that You Can Leave Your Hat On was a Joe Cocker song, not written by Randy Newman. It was, of course, written by Randy Newman.
Everyone knows
Okay,
that.
wait. Okay, everyone knows that. Are you sure I said, do you have clips to prove it? Did I say Joe Cocker wrote that song?
Well, you said it was a Joe Cocker song.
Joe, well, yeah, but that's different than saying he
but
wrote
you
it.
said it was
'Cause
not.
Joe is famous for like reimagining
he didn't write his own stuff.
Interpolations of.
Yeah.
and he's very good at
But
it.
you specifically said not a Randy Newman song.
Then I was dead wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
Add it
Yeah.
to the list,
Yeah.
Tyler.
Okay.
Okay, I was wrong. That is a Randy Newman song.
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
Yeah.
On the David Marsden episode,
Right.
Mike said that
Bracing
the
myself.
St. Joseph's Hospital is part of UHN. It is not. It is part of the Unity Health
Oh
Network.
my God.
But UHN is the Unity
No,
Health
that's the
Network.
University Health Network.
That's a
Okay.
deep cut.
That's unfair.
Wow.
Because I spent some time in St. Joe's.
Of course.
And there's posters on the wall.
Yeah.
And it refers that it's part of the. I thought it was saying it was part of UHN.
Unity Health.
Okay. I'm forgiving myself.
So were
for
you
that
just
one.
listening and you noticed that? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a Mimico guy.
That's
okay?
right.
Yeah.
We know Parkdale. I will say I deserve all the smacks
The
for
shaming.
that.
Yeah.
That not for thinking that was a Joe Cocker.
Do
song.
better, Mike.
Yeah.
But the UHN, I'm giving myself a
Okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah. I mean, these are not grave errors,
No,
but they
I
need
love
to
it.
be
Okay.
called out.
Yeah.
More.
On the Dave Hodge episode,
Oh no, we're ready. Okay.
you said that Human Touch.
Human Touch. Yes.
Um,
Was a Bruce Springsteen song.
was not on Tunnel of Love.
Are you
it
sure I
was-
said that?
Yeah.
Because I feel like now you say it, I believe it is on Tunnel. of
Or
Love.
sorry, you said it was on Tunnel of
Okay,
Love.
that's what I think.
You said it was on.
I'm wrong.
It's there's an album called Human Touch.
It's like
Is Tunnel of Love on Human Touch?
No,
Okay, they're different albums.
different albums.
So
are
it's
they
like
are they in
There,
order?
there was so Human Touch came later because he did
So-
the two albums at the same time, Human Touch and Lucky Town.
Oh, that okay.
Lucky
Okay, so this is
Town, he's
after
got
Born in the USA.
sunglasses on the cover. I feel like he's like leaning.
Yeah,
on
I
the
think
wall.
so.
Yeah.
So okay, so we had Born in the USA.
Yeah,
Bunch of hits.
yeah,
right.
Okay. The follow up, I remember the follow up single was "One Step Up and Two Steps Down."
Right.
What's that song?
I think it's One Step Up.
I'm on fire. No,
Oh no, that's on Born
One
in the
Step
USA.
Up. That's
One
what
Step
it's
Up. Okay,
called.
so that
Yeah, yeah.
song.
This is Brilliant
That
Disguise.
song
Brilliant
is on Brilliant
Disguise.
Disguise.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Brilliant Disguise is on Tunnel of Love.
Okay, and what song are we talking about?
Human
here?
Touch.
Human Touch. Is that on the what album is that on?
That's on Human Touch.
Okay,
This is the bolo tie.
when is that
era.
released? What is-
Human Touch was like '92, I want to say.
Yeah, it's a
'Cause
'90s
he
album.
He released two albums together.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, no, it's Lucky Town.
Yeah, 1992. He released
And
Human Touch and
Brilliant
Lucky
Disguise.
Town.
So this speaks to my lack of attention paid to Bruce Springsteen prior to seeing him live.
Yeah.
I made that mistake because I believed it to be true. George
Honest
Costanza
mistake.
tells me it's not a lie if you believe it to be true.
None of these are
George
lies.
told me that.
None of these are lies.
Believe
just to be
the
clear.
myth. Or what was the bare naked lady?
Print the legend.
Print the
Yeah.
legend.
I
Exactly.
had to avoid that topic of Ed
Yes.
Conroy because
Yeah,
it's still
sensitive.
a touchy one.
I do feel like when Bruce did Streets of Philadelphia, he comes, he's got the goatee, and he's looking
Yeah.
more like a grunge rocker. Was sort of like, oh, it was
Well,
sort of
then
like
then there
in
was-
the wake of Human Touch.
Then there
I
was
feel
Ghost
like.
of Tom Joad, which was
That's
in
right.
that
Yes,
same
exactly.
era.
Later
Yeah.
covered by what? Rage Against the Machine.
yes, Rage Against
Yeah.
the Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
One more quick hit, and then I'll play this
Okay.
clip. Christian Simpson was not a founding member of Glue Leg. The guys from Guh lawsoned you on that one in the room live.
Live Lawson.
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah,
as
they were
Brother
there.
Bill would say, and I was not there.
Yeah.
So the other guy, Alonzo, is the founding member of Glue Leg.
Yeah.
And then this Christian Simpson imposter takes over for a member of Guh when he leaves for Guh.
Right.
I got it now. No,
Yeah.
so I'm learning. See, constantly evolving.
What is Tom Joad? Is what? Grapes of Wrath? Or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Grapes
Yeah.
of Wrath.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
So those are the quick hits. This last one is a bigger one, which frankly could result in some discussion, maybe some hurt feelings.
A lawsuit.
I'm gonna brace myself.
I'm just going to play this clip.
Let's get Lauren Hahn.
And
Oh my
then
God,
we'll
he's gonna play the clip.
and then we're going to get into it.
I'm gonna mute it.
Here we go.
Cringe.
Rob, what do you think of this song, "Creep"?
I
by
love this
Radiohead?
song, but I have a judge's calling on this song.
Oh,
It's not hip hop.
I don't think there's a sample in this. I don't think there's an actual Holly sample in this song.
Oh my God, you need
I
more
think that
crow
they
on
used
this
the
one?
chord
Okay.
changes, but they didn't actually sample it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then we have to have a whole conversation.
That's a whole
What's
other- that's a
sample?
sounds
okay,
like.
So let's talk about it.
I
Okay.
saw a lot of things like that
Let's get
where
into it. Okay.
Because
More than sounds like, but okay.
yeah,
So,
no,
I have a
they
reason
had to like
why
give it
I
credit
fucked
for it,
up.
but I don't believe that there's anything actually from the song, other than just the chord changes.
Oh no, they're recreating.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
still flat.
it's not a sample.
So fucking good.
I am fucking out of here.
All right, so let's
Rob
get
Bruce
the
getting
nuts
angry.
and bolts out of the way.
Okay.
The air that I
I've never
breathe
seen Rob
is Albert Hammond and Mike Hazelwood.
Yeah, do you know who Albert
They
Hammond's
wrote
son
that
is?
song.
His son is in the Strokes, which I think is cool.
Fun fact.
Strokes are a great fucking band.
Yeah.
Love the
Okay.
Strokes.
So Albert wrote the
Meet
song.
me in the bathroom, guys.
Yeah,
So Albert and Mike write a song, "The Air That I Breathe,"
yeah,
1972.
yep.
Okay. They are credited. Hammond and Hazelwood are credited as co-writers of "Creep" by
Yeah.
Radiohead.
Yep.
Because of elements of "The Air That I Breathe,"
Yeah,
making their way into this song "Creep,"
yep.
which was recorded at the suggestion of the producers Sean Slade and Paul Q. Colderi.
Yeah.
Now, this is the very first single ever released by English rock band Radiohead.
Yeah.
Sorry, pal. This is not a sample.
No.
It's on Pablo Honey,
Yeah.
1993.
He's ignoring us.
It's like when you do a book report.
Just lean
and you
into
say,
it, yeah.
This book was written whenever by whenever this year. Okay, so it's not a sample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what threw me is the fact that as you know, maybe you don't know, I like to frequent the site whosampled.com. And they had
Great
it listed as a sample.
Mm.
And it
Ooh.
threw me off in my research. Of course, it's a recreation.
Yeah.
Of
Interpolation, perhaps.
the chords. It's
Yeah.
not actually sampling the Hollies, "The Air That I Breathe."
I feel like half of the Elastic album had like issues with this. I
Right.
think with also
The
the
connection
Stranglers
is
and yeah,
made.
Wire and all these other bands
So
too.
okay,
but,
so
but not
it-
samples.
But you're right.
just, like,
So yeah, I
ripping
ate it
off
on that.
chords.
I
And
wanted.
just for some context, so if anyone hadn't heard it, so this was from a Toast episode. The theme of the Toast episode were non-hip hop songs that sampled other songs.
Right, non-hip hop songs that sample
Wow.
other songs.
Yeah.
Right.
Great topic.
Epic botch.
Great topic. But yeah.
Huge fail.
And
But I got to play "The Air That I Breathe" by the Hollies, and I got to play "Creep" by Radiohead. So I'd say it worked out. I was wrong.
Love both the songs.
the winners, as always, were the listeners of Toronto.
Yeah, I blew it in
Yeah.
that episode of Toast. I've been making up for it ever since.
Yeah,
And
Mike.
I feel great shame. But did you hear that one voice? It wasn't Rob, but there's a guy I recognize from Indie 88.
Yeah,
Did you hear that
he got a
voice?
job.
All right.
He's all over. I
Bob got
actually
a job.
listened to. I'm going
Bob's
to tell him
job.
when he comes over for the next Toast. When I think that's in mid January. But I was listening to the Great 88, which is the top 88 songs of the year. I was just tuning in the car. I drove my wife to the airport. I'm listening to this thing, and one of the songs I heard Bob Willett, and he kind of introduced, like he's on the Great 88, just introducing a song, like he's a regular member.
It's like all over that
real radio guy.
Like he's a core member of the on-air talent at Indie 88 now. He's not just some guy who fills in and then disappears. He's a part of the team now.
Yeah.
His social channel has got all sorts of like good content from behind the scenes.
He does a lot
he's great.
of content creation.
Yeah.
It's good to see. Good dude.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ever been happier.
Very happy for Bob that he's back on
in
the
a good
air.
place.
So that's breaking the law. Mike, no doubt you regret your errors.
Don't do it again.
I regret them all except the UHN one. I don't. Well, guys, we're not done yet.
No.
First of all, it's been amazing. I got to say thank you to Tyler again.
My pleasure.
For all this work. You had to listen to all. Cam didn't even listen to all the episodes.
I listened to a lot of those. I actually listened to that Toast episode. I remember hearing that.
Okay, well, you were the OG Toast co-host.
That's right. Yeah.
Along with someone else whose name I can't remember.
Good segue.
Where in the world is
Stu Stone?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've not heard this, but I have received this, so we'll all hear it together for the first time. Let's go.
Happy 2025, Toronto Mike. Happy 2025, FOTMs. Happy 2025 to my fellow Hall of Famers. This is Stu Stone. I wanted to really send a message to the FOTM universe to let them all know that they are loved, not just by me, but by a higher power. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I do want to tell you that I am avoiding winter right now. I am on the west coast of the United States of America. I'm in California, more specifically in the Los Angeles region. If you're wondering where in the world Stu Stone is, that's where he is as of this recording.
Good choice.
But yes, to make a long story short, I want to wish everybody a happy 2025. Have a great year. I hope it is the best one yet. Is this going to be the best one yet? Let's hope so. I look forward to coming back onto Mike's show, going into the basement a few times, maybe even making it out to an event where I can rub elbows with some of the great FOTMs. I guess I'm taking up too much time now, so I want to close this by saying I love you, Mike, and Cam, and even... Yes, even him. You know who he is. I love him too.
You shall not be named.
Yeah, that's his heart's in the right place.
Oh, you.
Oh, you.
The other guy. Stu's that guy, man. He had an appearance this past quarter. You know that?
Yeah.
In a triumphant return. He was good as always. And yeah, I mean, I got a phone call from Snow. And that all kind of started because it goes from the Paul Farberman episode, obviously, who works with Snow. But I can't remember what came first. Me seeing Snow at the premiere of Bandits. You were with me, right, Cam?
I was, yeah.
Like, did that happen first? Or I think maybe it was Catherine McClanahan talking about how she was at Tane, Tears Are Not Enough, the recording with her boyfriend of the time, Paul Farberman. You didn't pull that clip, though, where Paul says, I said, you were dating Catherine McClanahan at the time? And he goes, yes. And I said something. I said, best time of your life or something? And you kind of hear him go, yes.
Yeah. He seemed like he enjoyed it. Fun
he had a good time.
Catherine.
Yeah. All right, Stu Stone in L.A. If you're wondering where Stu Stone is, and we love Stu Stone, but I love you guys. This was great, this FOTM.
This was fun.
Is that it? Good. Are we...
That's all we got.
Well, we got a new closing theme.
Yeah, this
Any
is the new
thoughts
one.
on this? This is the...
it's fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's fun.
And like Spotify's left you alone with this? Like it's good?
Well, I mean...
Didn't they flag it?
No, YouTube has flagged it to say I can't monetize it because it's...
my gosh, that's ridiculous.
They detected Rosie and Gray in there. I know.
Brutal.
But Spotify hasn't killed any episodes because of this closing theme.
Okay.
So, you know, so whatever. Whatever.
It's like literally like Ron Hawkins and Stephen Stanley it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was reading a post by Ron Hawkins today on Facebook. You ever go to Facebook?
Haven't been there in
once in a while.
Quite a long time.
I pop in once in a while myself, and he was writing about how they had a cover story on Now magazine And Lowest of the Low were truly a band. They wanted all members on the cover.
Yeah.
And they had this idea. But the photographer was sneaky, and he got Steven and Ron to pose separately.
Yeah.
And that's what made the cover.
Yeah.
And Ron Hawkins said he learned a lesson, like that, he didn't want it to be just Steven, Stanley, and
Right.
Ron Hawkins on the cover. He wanted the whole band on the cover. So I'm reading this, and I'm like, that's interesting. They have pictures and everything. And then Michael Hollett chimes in, like he's on Facebook, and he's
Right.
like, okay, we didn't do any covers that were more than two people
Oh my
between
God.
these years because it needed to stand out in a dark bar or whatever
Ah.
like that. And he was explaining the only exception they made was for Rush, where they let all
It's like
three of
three
them be on the
guys.
cover
Okay.
or whatever.
Okay.
But it was just fascinating that. And then Ron said, "Water under the bridge, but you can. We will forgive you if you put us on the cover of Next, because we got a new album coming
Right.
out." But it's
Sure.
just wild to see this all happen.
Yeah.
Like, this is stuff that we didn't get to see
Yeah.
before social media. Ron Hawkins and Michael Hollett and this conversation from 100 years
This
ago.
time next year, it'll just be two bots.
It's again
talking
like
to each other.
that's ridiculous, but that's the type of content we need. We don't need the documentaries. We don't
Right.
need sort of the tight 60 minutes. We need sort of the real, the real meat.
And that brings us to the end. By the way, we saw Mishi Me at the Art Gallery
We
this
did.
past quarter.
We did.
I just want to say it was good that you invited me. 'cause you're a
FOTM,
member.
HB. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
'Cause you're
Renewed my membership for next year,
You're
so
a-
we'll go again.
And rest in peace again, Scott Carefoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody who knew and loved Scott Carefoot. We lost him this last quarter.
Save the internet, everyone, please.
Yeah.
Download everything.
Save TorontoMike.com. And that brings us to the end of our 1,611th show. Go to TorontoMike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. I'm on Blue Sky at TorontoMike.com. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery. Paul, I just had an Octopus Wants to Fight. I forgot how much I love that Octopus Wants to Fight. I only switched to Burst because I'd be slurring my speech at the end of episodes if I had two octopus. Shout out to Palma Pasta. I have lasagnas for you guys. RecycleMyElectronics.ca and Ridley Funeral Home. Here's the Friendly Giant. My next guest is Monday, and it is Arlene Bishop, who was once married to FOTM Blair Packham.
Spill that tea.
Spill that tea, Arlene. See you all then.